Good morning. This is your faithful horror host, Edward October. Tune in to OctoberPod home video on YouTube, where each month we tell a new spooky story. What is OctoberPod, you ask? OctoberPod is the creepy urban legend told to you by a friend over a bottle of wine. OctoberPod is the long, restless night you spent in the basement, waiting for the storm to pass. Still curious? Subscribe to OctoberPod home video on YouTube, or follow me on Twitter at OctoberPodVHS. OctoberPod, the place where nightmare and nostalgia coexist.
Hey there, this is John from Pino Comics.
And I'm Lloyd, also from Pino Comics.
And I'm the other John, and you get it by now. As you may know, we sometimes use language on this show that can be described as...
Filthy.
Okay.
Reprehensible?
Crude?
Sure.
Nasty.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, guys. We all know that it's just plain out gutter talk.
You've been warned. Listen in.
The 215. That's right, we're back.
That was a hell of a pause.
Pregnant pause there.
Pregnant pause there.
Yeah.
Pina Comics with you. First time we're recording in the same room together in the last month. We took a month off.
At least a month.
We got some stuff done. John is living on cloud nine. Things have changed.
Yeah, he is.
Cats and dogs living together. It's mass hysteria. But I want to point out what's very important here. We got, I'm going to read this off kind of like the comic we're going to be covering tonight on the 100 Proof Book Project. I'm going to call roll for tonight, right? Okay. So first off, we're going to do roll call. We're going to do John, Sir.
Yes.
Green, Manster.
Here.
Ganache, John. Here. And very important, because he hasn't been able to be hanging with us for a while, even though we took the month off, Skywalker, Lou.
What's up?
Lou is back. Lou, you had a little bit of a...
I got cut open again.
You got cut open again.
Yeah, no, 2 surgeries in 12 months.
Yeah.
Our very own Captain Boomerang.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, pretty much.
Except not nearly as racist.
No.
And I hope he never lets anybody get killed without saying something.
Yeah, no, it was wonderful. It was wonderful. Had to have an issue from the first surgery repaired. So
yeah. So you're out of right now. You're on a 6-week no working.
Yeah, I'm on a sabbatical.
You're on a sabbatical.
I'm on FMLA.
And what you were
as we speak.
The last one, was that 6 weeks as well, or was that?
It was only 4, and that I think was part of the problem. Was because I didn't heal up enough,
right?
And I went back to work too soon, and I ended up with an issue because I probably did something stupid, which is generally how it works with me.
You're taking the blame here, huh?
I'll take the blame.
Oh,
I guarantee you, I went and did something dumb.
It's those fucking quack doctors.
No. I got a good surgeon, and I probably did something stupid or lifted something I shouldn't have, and I ended up with a hernia. So they had to go in and put everything back.
Did you have any physical relations during that time?
Whoa!
Because that'll do it.
Getting personal here.
Hey, I mean,
a man's got to be a man.
Man's got what you got to do.
You can't hold back.
Manster's got to be a manster.
Yep.
Man's got to be a man.
I don't know what caused it, to be honest with you. All I know is I went through a period there where I couldn't eat anything more than soup.
Yeah, you were rough.
So yeah, it was pretty rough.
Now
soup.
Now
Yeah,
well, wait a minute. Soup and onions.
Well, let me explain. From when it happened, like the initial hernia, it was like 2.5 or 3 months to when I actually had surgery. Daily food consisted of oatmeal in the morning, like 1 packet of oatmeal, and then my lunch and dinner were both soup.
Did you eat it dry?
No, just a little bit. Yeah. Like I would have, yes,
dry
soup.
Lipton packet of
oatmeal.
Oh,
I had those.
I was fiddling with.
I had those protein packed granules from your work there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you like that?
I'll put a picture of that up so everyone, you know, when
John
this
found
releases.
it at his work.
Multi-purpose food supplement or whatever.
You found nuke food, basically.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
You found something
Fallout
that people would
food.
have.
Well,
Yeah.
we have a lot of leftovers from the Fallout shelter, and they're in these little kits. But I hadn't seen in the time that I've been there, I hadn't seen that giant can that I took a picture of, which is this weird food, whatever it is.
Which when this
granules.
episode launches, we're gonna have to re-put that
Find
picture
it,
up.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's granules made by General Mills.
Yeah, I saw that.
General Mills.
A light blue
Gruel.
can with a light blue wrapper.
And I guarantee it's probably from 1962 when they built the place.
I was
so
almost gonna say if you had the access to bring that here, like we should
I
do a
can.
video where we each eat a bite of it.
I already had an offer for somebody to buy
Yeah, I'll
it,
do that.
So
Would you do that?
I'm definitely up for that.
1962. All right, bring it next time.
I'll
eat-
eat
I'll eat
I'm,
it.
I'm sure we have more than one can. So,
Yeah.
I mean, those kits. We've got like cases of them, and in the kit it comes with meal bars, chocolate bars, a can of water, and I forget what else is in there. Oh, biscuits like crackers and
So you spend enough time not having cable and watching YouTube like I do. You find all the kind of the YouTube channel like tropes. There are more than one YouTube channel dedicated. You got the unboxing videos.
Right.
I got a new toy unboxing. You got the trailer reaction videos. Okay, I watched the trailer. There are several
Two Girls, One Cup.
2 Girls, 1 Cup. Absolutely. No, there are Lemon Party.
Oh God.
Lemon tree.
Lemon Party. No, there are several YouTube channels. I've watched some of them where the guys go and either go to an Army Navy store or somehow get them online and get like World War II ration packets and then eat as much as they can. And there's some stuff that's just not, okay, I can make the coffee, but this cheese.
government cheese that never goes bad. Yeah,
this cheese still doesn't really look too good.
Ask Mike Fulham about the government cheese.
Oh,
He'll know.
Mike Fulham, host
And they smoke a pack of Lucky Strikes that were in it.
and they would have like I saw the one where they had like 2 cigarettes, 2 matches. It's crazy. It's crazy stuff. So getting into that's military, but I guess we're quasi military here.
We're slowly moving into where we're going.
We're moving into where we're going. So the 100 Proof Book Project, which is where we take a arc or a storyline in comics. What are we covering, Lloyd? What is what exact issues and what series are we talking about?
Well, that would be Suicide Squad. 1987?
1987.
I guess volume. They call it Trial by Fire. Issues 1 through 8.
Yep, and this is volume 1.
Volume 1.
Correct. Volume 1 of there was a Suicide Squad.
Well, the collection
prior.
Yeah,
but there was no.
It was not
ongoing series.
No, it was part of Showcase Comics.
Okay, all right.
It was a storyline. Showcase was a long running series from DC that would put different plots and characters into. It was an anthology, but it was solid stories per issue. Instead of like having a series of different stories per issue, it would just be one solid story about a character or a series of characters. So, and the Suicide Squad was in there.
So this book, let's go over the before we start getting into the story. This book written by who, John?
Jumping Johnny Ostrander, but don't call him that to his face.
Don't call him that to his face.
John Ostrander, who was hot off of Grimjack at the time.
Yeah, I've seen Grimjack a million times, never read it.
It was a big comic book from First Comics in the 80s, and I don't think Suicide Squad was his first DC work, but it might have been. The editor at the time, Mike Gold, which is prior to this particular series. We should probably get into when they first appeared.
Okay.
This particular iteration of the Suicide Squad appeared in the Legends miniseries, which was co-edited by Bob Greenberger, and Mike Gold. Alan Gold, somebody else. Mike Gold was editor at First Comics, who then went to DC, and he brought over some of the people from First with him, Ostrander being one of them. They created the new iteration of the Suicide Squad, inserted them into the Legends series. History was made.
And this is kind of an important time in DC history because this is within a year, right, of kind of a year and a half or so.
It was right after
Crisis.
the original Crisis on Infinite Earths, yeah.
Because you get John Byrne's Man of Steel,
yeah.
And this is kind of part of that whole...
Well, did you guys you didn't read Legends at all?
No, I didn't.
Point?
Did
all
not.
Right, so Legends was a big crossover series post-Crisis that John Byrne drew, and I forget who wrote it. He might have been involved, but Ostrander co-wrote it, co-plotted it, or something of that nature. I covered it many years ago when I was doing the reread that I never finished.
Right.
Anyway, it was supposed to reintroduce a number of characters that hadn't been reintroduced to the Crisis after the Crisis at that time, and one was Wonder Woman. So it was focusing in on the big names in the DC universe, and then they used that as a tentpole for this particular series of the Suicide Squad.
It was written by John Ostrander and Len Wein.
And then Wein, okay,
Legends.
Yes, Legends.
Okay. Legends written by Ostrander and Wein.
Yeah. Byrne did the art.
Yes.
All right. So for Suicide Squad, the artist was
Luke McDonnell, who was coming off of then canceled Justice League of America.
It's funny, when I started reading this arc, and I had read this once before years ago, actually the first 10 issues. The name, I went, I don't even know who the fuck this guy is.
Luke McDonnell?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He was fairly well known at that point.
I guess now he's been out of comics for a long time.
Yeah.
He's a game designer of sort.
Yeah.
I was reading about him, and he works for game companies, and I don't know if he's a graphic designer for the games or if he actually designs games.
He's an interesting artist. It's kind of stiff, but he's very good at sequential art.
I like his art. I like his sequential art. His action art is a little stiff at points.
Yeah, it's all a little weird, but
there's a kung fu fight that is at one point.
The kung fu. Yeah,
we'll get to it. But there's one fight in this between Bronze Tiger and an opponent that it looks like that scene in Team America when they gear it up and you get the two marionettes and you're like something's gonna happen and they just start slapping into each other.
Oh, you mean the movie? When you say Team America, I'm thinking the Marvel Comics.
And wait, see, this is a natural come around.
Okay,
because Luke McDonnell worked on Team America. The Marvel comic Team America.
That makes sense, yeah.
Team America, which I remember having some of the issues when I was a kid. They were like this mystical motorcycle riding, dirt bike riding team. So I remember years ago when
it was
they
based
said...
on a toy line.
It was a toy line.
It was a toy line. Yeah.
Like 15 years ago when they said Matt Stone and Trey Parker were making a Team America movie.
Yeah.
I'm like, they're fucking pulling that old Marvel property out that went like 12 issues and nobody remembers it.
Except
so it's
for
just
me.
It's very weird. So
US one.
Certainly not me.
Yeah, no,
I never even saw Team America.
NFL Super Bowl.
I've never seen it. No.
You can find it in the dime bins.
Yeah, I know. I've seen it around.
Well worth it.
Never watched it.
If you like those guys, you like their humor, it's well worth it.
All right.
Matt Damon. That's all I got to say about that.
I should say, before we move on to the inker, the original inker was supposed to be Carl Kiesel, and he had to leave after the first issue. Other projects came up that he needed to take over. He hated leaving the squad. He did eventually come back to it. He did a lot of the cover work, too. But losing him as an inker, you could see the difference right away.
Was Carl Kiesel the guy at the first Terrificon that you asked?
Yeah.
So here's a good story for everybody out there.
Come on.
So, well, no, this is
let's hear it. Come on.
This is a complimentary story.
It's clumsy.
Because Sir John is
me putting my foot in my mouth.
Sir John clumsy?
Sir John is such an expert with all the comic book stuff, especially DC stuff, but such an expert.
I had never met Carl before. Just so you know this.
All right.
And all the shows I've been to, and all the times I've ever wanted to meet the guy, because he's an awesome inker, he's a good penciler. He complements other artists very, very well, and he's a very good writer.
Yeah.
Never met the guy.
Which Terrificon was this?
The first one.
4
years ago or 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Before Pint of Comics.
Before Pint of Comics.
During From the Hip.
All right.
Yeah.
So we get in early. We had the press passes, so we're there like an hour early, and we were hanging out with Jackie and Keith from the Charlton movie. And we happened to be near their booth, and across from their booth was Carl Kessel. And John goes over and starts talking to him. And at one point, John asks, something about how everything's going with his wife, Barbara. Barbara Kessel is also a comics pro.
All right.
She was
formerly known as Barbara Randall.
She was involved with CrossGen at one point, I remember. And Carl Kessel had to explain to John that they had been divorced for like 15 years. And it was a little awkward. The air came out of the room for a minute.
Because I had done work with her on a project and I never spoke to her.
That's right.
Yeah.
Was there like that sound of like a record, like the needle going?
Trust me, when he said it, I was like, oh man.
He didn't seem offended at all.
He didn't, but it was just so awkward.
It was funny though. He's like, well, me and Barbara had had a terrifyingly painful divorce in about
15 years ago.
About 2002,
I just cut my 832nd alimony check to her yesterday. Thanks for reminding me.
I did. I felt like I'm. Well, actually, was that the day that we did the Barry Kitson interview, and I forgot he had done Superman too.
Same day. Same day. Yeah. When he, Barry, what I'd love to see you work on is Superman. He's like, I worked on Superman for 5 years, dickhead.
The look he gave me was hysterical. He just was like, are you fucking kidding me?
You know what?
Who is this chump?
I'll defend John to the end, though. There's those moments where, like...
Chris Claremont, you should work on the X-Men. You'd be great for it.
Wait.
Just a little. No, you were just, like...
But
No, you sound good. You just got... When you got loud,
okay. You normally tell me the...
No, you're good. I'm saying if you get louder, just come back a little bit. Okay, just a little bit.
Okay.
Like if you're talking like this and you're good, and then you want to get like excited like this, just come back and get excited.
Well, I didn't realize I was.
No, I know. I'm not yelling at you.
You send me mixed signals.
I'm not.
You
sending
tell me
signals.
not to be NPR Lou, and then when I try not to be NPR Lou, you tell me I have to back up.
I hope you're not cutting this out.
Just a little.
Just so you know, this is exactly the kind of shit that I'd have to listen to when he and Vinny would go at it. Vinny would be like, dude, back off the mic a little bit. Back up the mic. Okay, fucking Vinny.
I'm just trying to. I'm not giving you shit. I was just saying.
It's very mixed.
Oh, this is
It's not
so
mixed.
awesome.
It's a little mixed.
It's not mixed.
Lloyd,
You were good.
Lou's taking great offense
You
to this.
literally
I know, right?
invented NPR Lou and told me that I cannot be NPR Lou. And then when I try and stop being NPR Lou, you tell me to back off the mic.
You are doing fantastic.
Lloyd, I swear,
NPR Lou.
if we had some of the stuff that these guys would go at it, and
NPR
Vinny's
Lou
basement
was just you were being a little
Really?
quieter and a little calmer. You're being very good from the beginning.
exactly
tonight.
the same.
I
That was
wish
the
I
first-
could
that was
get
the first time
passionate
you
about
did it.
stuff like this.
You got like really in, and I just mean when you do that, just back a little bit. That's all.
Okay.
That's all. But you're
Okay.
doing. I'm not
Lay
even.
off the estrogen.
I'm not
over
even
there.
cutting. I'm not even. That was so fucking good. I'm not even cutting that out. That's staying the fuck in.
Yeah.
All right. So okay. Anyway, where are we? John offending comic book professionals repeatedly in one day.
John sending me mixed signals.
Me sending him mixed signals. Still trying to process how much Lloyd paid for his oven. Okay. All right. That was before we recorded. We won't talk about that. All right.
You need that record scratching sound just for this.
Yeah.
Getting back on track.
Getting back on track. All right. So
You want to talk about Bob Lewis and Anthony Tomlin?
I do. I just want to real quick throw out there that also if you're into the John Ostrander stuff, some of the other stuff he's worked on, Grimjack for DC Manhunter. He did some
Manhunter,
Firestorm
yeah.
work, and the thing.
Yeah. Before you get on,
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff he did with Firestorm was at the same time he was doing Suicide Squad, and a lot of those stories tend to dovetail into each other. While there may be some crossover stuff, a lot of it is just like little bits and pieces that if you were reading Firestorm, you would pick up on it in Suicide Squad, or the other way around.
Right.
There was a lot. Eventually, there were some crossovers that needed to be read back and forth, but overall, there's just little snippets of information that he'd drop in each book, and it was a lot of fun, particularly when it comes to the villains.
Okay. All right. Well,
we'll get to that.
I want to talk into the dovetailing too.
Yeah.
And the other thing that he was actually pretty. He did a lot of was I noticed
Star Wars.
Dark Horse Star Wars.
Yeah, he did a lot of that.
Man, he was like fucking balls deep in that shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's going to be on the radio show eventually.
Awesome.
So.
And Luke McDonnell, I wanted to just point out a couple other things he did. He worked on JLA, as you said.
JL of A.
JL of A, Justice League of America. Team America, so he's a big America guy. And Iron Man, or as it was called when he drew it, Iron Man of America.
Iron Man of A.
Iron Man of A.
He did quite a few other things for DC at the time. I mean, he was kind of the jobber, if you want.
Okay,
There you
Okay.
go. The journey.
There you go.
All right, Lloyd.
Just get back to wrestling.
Get it in there.
Let's go to Lloyd. Lloyd, why don't you give us... Okay, so we got the first 8 issues. I don't want you to bumper sticker the first 8 issues. I want you to kind of give us a generalized idea of what the Suicide Squad is about.
Well, the Suicide Squad is a government, well, 2 parts, right?
Yeah.
You got Task Force X. All right, by the way, this is the first time I've ever read any Suicide Squad.
I'll correct you when you're wrong.
Yeah, please do.
I'll correct you when you're wrong. Motherfucker.
Before we get into that,
There's a lot of history in this book.
the first, and what that helped me, the first issue that I read was actually Secret Origins number 14,
Right.
which is basically a history lesson to Ronald Reagan.
Yeah,
Because Ronald Reagan is the president at the time.
At the time, yep.
Yep. At the time of the
And
comic, he was the president. So
They're
Yeah, see,
basically.
I did not read the. We each read this differently as well.
Yeah.
You read it through an app that you have, right?
which is basically the collection right here.
Right.
So
John read the collection. Lou read it on the DC Universe app, right?
Yep, the DC Universe app.
I read the first 8 issues in floppy form.
But
so I did
understand-
not read the Secret Origins and or the Legends stuff. That is referred to a lot in this.
But-
and again, let me just say this. One, I didn't read the Secret Origins because I know how the story goes.
Right.
I read this thing a lot, so I didn't read that. I didn't read the Legends thing because it's not necessary for this. It's just that's stuff I know.
right.
So, but anyway,
Well, I was going to say, can we just talk about the fact that one of the reasons why I actually went back and read the Secret Origins 14 was because back in the 80s, they did this really awesome thing in the books that I know all of us have said before needs to come back. The editor's notes.
Yep.
And the
I
little
agree.
footnotes in the panel saying, see Secret Origins number 14, Bob.
Yep.
Or this happened in Superman, 385 and 386, or like
Yeah,
that.
there's quite a bit of that.
And
in
there's
there.
and it's great.
yeah.
And it was really good for me. Not that I went back and read those things,
Right,
but
but you know,
But
where
you know
can
what?
go if
It
you want.
prompt.
Right.
But you know what? The references to Secret Origins 14, I'm sure prompted you to go back and reread that issue because I know it did me.
Right.
I'm going to read this.
and there's stuff in there that gives you a prompt to look up the early issues of Showcase with the original Suicide Squad.
Right.
Yep.
Which, good luck trying to find them even then for a decent price.
Yeah,
So-
now with the movie,
Well, yeah, that's the other thing. This was a quarter bin book, and it's not anymore. so.
this is how I have all 66 issues.
Yeah.
And I put my collection together before the movie was even announced.
Yep.
And that's how I got it was quarter bin.
Right.
The first issue here that I have right here is probably, it's the first printing. This is probably like a $70 book.
They didn't do second printings.
Well, yeah, right. Or we'll direct market and all that shit. I don't know if they have.
That doesn't make a
Yeah,
lot
that
of
doesn't make a
difference.
difference. All right. So, Lloyd, all right. Task Force X.
So Task Force started in the 1950s, right? There's a military and a civilian branch, and these were criminals given basically a chance to do something for their country. And then in doing so, if they come back alive, then they get
Well,
their...
just to correct you there.
All right, go ahead.
The Task Force X of the 50s did not involve criminals. This particular storyline involves the criminals. The earlier iterations of Task Force X and Argent, which would be
Argent, yeah, that's
the
something
civilian
we read.
version, had nothing to do with criminals or superheroes.
Okay.
Yeah, they were just dudes in the...
This is it's all based off of World War II and the OSS, and eventually,
It was military stuff, right?
well, it's based off of the government branches of Secret Service.
Quick side note, and I'll ask you because I actually looked and I couldn't find anything. Have they ever revisited Argent? Because
Yes.
I was going to say that just seems like it's ripe for somebody to do something with.
Yeah.
Because somewhere in that Secret Origins issue, they say that no one knows what happened to Argent after 1960.
If you read the series in its completion, you do find out what
Yeah.
happens. Yeah, it's all tied into all that stuff, and it ties into the Secret Six.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay.
So
I was going to say, man, it's like they left it what would seem like a hell of a thread
Yeah,
that somebody could pick up the ball and run with.
Ostrander tied up all that stuff as much as he could, and did a very, very good job of it. Because it's the book is so involved in DC history and DC lore of the covert action characters, the James Bond type characters.
The very confounding to me Nemesis.
Oh, I love
Yeah,
Nemesis.
We'll get into that.
I
But
absolutely love
the
Nemesis.
one character I could not grasp what the fuck was happening with him in this book.
I'll explain it.
Okay. All right.
Well, I was also
All right.
going to say the thing with Nemesis too is I think whoever wrote Mission Impossible 2 was probably a fan of this because he was ripping masks off and faces and everything
you
else.
never knew who Nemesis
It
was.
was, yeah.
He kept on tearing a
he had
goddamn
like
mask
he had
off.
like the gaseous mask on. He's like, it's me.
All
Oh,
right.
I love it.
Yep.
Continue, Manster.
So they would get their sentence reduced, right?
Yep.
And that was it. That was the...
yeah, Suicide
Suicide
Squad.
Squad.
Just to add to that. All right.
Yeah,
so
go
this
ahead.
is basically a Dirty Dozen type of group. So you get villains looking to have their sentence reduced or commuted in any way, working for the government covertly. But also you have heroes, non-villainous types,
Okay.
who are doing this for other reasons.
Right. You have some characters that are working on a volunteer basis.
Oh yeah, and I don't. They didn't get into too much of that in the beginning here. You do find out.
Oh,
much
Rick
later.
Flag.
Rick Flag's the hero. He's your main character,
Right.
But
He's not part of the Suicide Squad necessarily.
No.
is he?
Yes, he's the leader.
He's the leader,
yeah.
but he's not. But does he? And I don't know if excuse me, if they ever got into this, does he's not,
He's your tie to the original.
but he's not subject to the, like, you try to escape, we'll blow you up type thing, right? He's like,
No, he's the one with the trigger.
right, he's the one with the
Right,
trigger.
right.
So
He's the one who gets to do the killing.
But that's what I mean is he's not really part of
He's
the
a colonel.
squad. He's a colonel. He's the guy in charge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before we go on, I want to go back to what you said about the heroes coming in. One thing that kind of confounded me about this, and maybe I'm totally wrong, was this one character that popped up a couple of times. Pink with wings or something. I think it was Black Orchid.
Black Orchid.
I didn't know who the hell this was when she popped in.
Because it's Black Orchid.
All right.
Yeah, she.
I guess we'll talk
the
about it
first
more.
time we meet her in the book. She's in like 2 panels.
Yep.
She helps them in 2 panels and is gone.
Yep.
And then later she does the same thing.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean,
She shows up. I'm like, who is this? I vaguely recognize her, but I don't know who it is.
You have to understand 2 big things about this book. One, it's very, very steeped in 80s lore. So it's very Cold War-esque. You got a lot of Russia.
yeah.
Russia is the enemy no matter what.
Yeah, a lot of that. That was great.
It's very, very heavy in
Russia
that.
and Iraq.
Well,
Iraq,
yeah,
yeah.
the fake.
Not quite Iraq.
Not quite Iraq, not quite Iran.
Right.
But that was DC for you. But the villains and the heroes, for that matter, they're all Z-listers.
Yeah,
These are characters that are expendable for a reason. This is
Wait. You're telling me that there wasn't like a fucking 80-issue Mind Boggler series that I never heard of?
Mind Boggler was a
Blockbuster.
Plastique.
a lot of these characters came out of Firestorm.
Okay.
So these are characters that Ostrander created. He was willing to dispose of them easily because
So that's kind of smart.
Anyway.
So Firestorm stops them in Firestorm.
And they come into
They
Belle
end up
Reve,
in Belle Reve,
and
now you
then-
can be a Suicide Squad
exactly.
member.
And
Right.
and at the time in all the DC books, Belle Reve became the place where they deposited all the villains. You'd see it in all the books. It'd be mentioned as the prison where the villains would
Right.
go.
Belle Reve
it
being
was a big deal.
The penitentiary
Yep.
in Louisiana
Yep.
that acts as the secret home base
Yeah.
of the Suicide Squad.
Right.
Right. So
Yeah, the secret
You know,
home
another
base
thing
that's
they brought up-
infiltrated very quickly.
When they introduced Belle Reve, they introduced this villain that was kept, no human beings could come anywhere near him. They fed him a rat. Parasite, that's it.
That's a Superman villain.
He never showed up again anywhere. I
Well, we only
expected
read-
him.
You have to understand that this
We
is
only
an
read the first
ongoing
8 issues,
series.
yeah.
so-
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
just a thread.
yeah, it's a threat. I'm sure it's
Yeah.
going to
See,
come back.
as someone coming into this who's never read anything from DC prior to whatever,
Well, understand,
the
though.
new 52.
But I also think that was
this
just
was
their
a
way of
huge
illustrating.
information dump on me.
Well, sure, and this is post-crisis, so they're reintroducing you to all these villains and all these heroes that people haven't seen in a while. Black Orchid, another character that appeared in Showcase and was a nobody character. Just there was no background to her, no powers to her. Just look her up in the DC Who's Who if you ever get a copy of that,
Yeah.
and you'll understand she's a zero. There's nothing there. It wasn't until that she was recreated for Vertigo by Neil Gaiman that they did anything with her, and that's why she doesn't appear further on in this series at some point.
All right, before we get into
Yeah, we're getting way ahead of
before,
ourselves.
before we get into kind of more story arc stuff,
Yeah.
obviously, if we were talking about Justice
You
League
want
of
to do
America,
a list of characters?
let's talk about the characters, right? On the very first issue, this is an extremely famous comic cover.
Yeah,
It's-
Howard Chaykin.
It's been redone. Howard Chaykin.
Love it.
8 characters, and the dress on it. These 8 people will put their lives on the line for our country. One of them won't be coming home. The funny part about it is, in issue 1, nobody dies. So I think it's issue 2 where the first one dies.
Yeah.
So it's almost fake advertising, but that's okay, fake news. So let's go over the 8 characters real quick that make up the Suicide Squad. And I do actually have a question. So we'll start from the top, what we consider the top left here. We have the Enchantress. Now, my first question about Enchantress. Enchantress is June Moon,
Yep.
who is a woman who, when she says the name Enchantress, is imbued with the magical powers of Enchantress. She is basically a kind of sadistic, dark,
Angry.
magician.
If you saw the movie, it isn't that far of a stretch from what they did there.
Right.
It's just the physical appearance is different.
But I have a question for you.
Sure.
Power Set reminds me of Shazam. Is she a character?
No.
Okay, because the name. You have to say Enchantress to become her and to get out of being her.
Right.
And I just was wondering, is she part of the whole CC Beck,
Nope.
stuff? Okay.
No, just a lame ass DC villain, hero villain.
Very
hero.
weird costume. She's wearing like a...
Well, you should see the other costume she has.
Oh, really?
She's got a skirt that's black and white, and it looks like like a carnival skirt. It's really ugly.
Really?
Yeah. They danced around her costume.
You didn't like so you prefer the Walgreens witch Halloween costume with the
like
pixie
it.
boots?
He pretty much was.
with the tits hanging out. Yeah, I kind of like that one. I mean,
All right, so the second character on that lineup, famous Flash villain. Here's what I love about this character.
Is that the Flash villain? Oh
Yeah.
my god!
So it is George Harkness, whose nickname
Digger?
is Digger.
Digger Harkness?
George Harkness Jr., whose nickname is Digger, and he's one of the only guys on Earth that needs 2 nicknames. He's also Captain Boomerang.
He looks like Maud a bit.
you don't like his mutton chops,
The original,
And
actually,
his scarves,
his receding hairline.
in the original, when this movie,
his blouse with boomerangs
Oh,
on it.
I love the guy.
you might not know
He's
this.
great.
This movie was going to be made in 19
And his old
1978.
Carvel hat.
Yeah.
He's a great racist, misogynist bigot.
When this movie was going to be made in
Oh, yeah, he's an
1978,
awful
he was originally going to be played by B. Arthur, but
That's what I mean.
but the movie didn't come out for another 30 years.
He was going to wear like floor-length dusters like you wore in every episode.
So Digger Harkness,
man.
the Captain Boomerang, he proves himself very quickly to be a racist.
Yep.
He is a coward,
Yep.
and he's a shitbag. And one of the things, and I've read Captain Boomerang before, so I'm familiar with this character. It did make me think of the movie in a positive light. There's the 2 scenes in the movie that I think they got right with Jai Courtney as him. The first one where he basically sells out Slipknot
Yes.
to die, and the second one where the shit's hitting the fan and he's hiding behind the cars
Yeah.
and drinking a beer. That is Captain Boomerang.
Well, I love the bit where he picked up like the coins off the street and
remember. It's been a
he
while.
pocketed like 50 cents.
It works with him.
I gotta watch that.
Well, it works
again.
because it's stolen right out of the fucking comics.
Well, the 2 things about him is he's a constant. He never, he is who
Right,
he
he
is.
doesn't change. Yeah,
And that allows everything to kind of swirl around him.
Yeah.
I mean, and John will get it. He's chaotic evil. That's exactly what he is.
Yeah, pretty much.
And he's just for the D&D players
Yeah.
out there. He's just your classic chaotic evil.
He
You
is.
never know what he's going to do when the shit hits the fan.
He is
You
the
know?
worst, and as the series progresses, I mean, he is one of the main characters in the book. He is.
I don't
the
think he's
worst.
ever left it. Him and Deadshot, right?
There's a point where Deadshot kind of fades out for a little bit, but that's on
well, he
purpose.
totally bailed
yeah.
out when the female Furies came to town too.
Yeah.
But I mean, like all the way through all the different volumes, even up into this day, I think it's always had him.
Yeah,
He's been in
pretty-
every iteration
pretty
of the
much,
group.
Yeah, I think Deadshot and
Because
him are kind
yeah.
of constants.
If it wasn't for this series and the way Ostrander wrote the character, you wouldn't get Boomerang the way you do now.
Right.
So
Yeah, he's a dirty bitch.
Oh, yeah.
And I also do, and it's credit to Ostrander, but I also do like the way he writes his dialogue with Moit, like
Yeah.
MYTE.
Might.
and-
You see, now here's the thing.
Hey,
though.
Mike.
You always shit on Gambit for doing that,
because
but you're saying you like it when it comes to Digger.
first of all, I like the character of Captain Boomerang. I fucking hate Gambit, and I also don't
But you
mind.
always point that out.
But I also don't mind as much the Australian slang as that bullshit mon chéri. Fuck Gambit. Fuck.
I'm just saying though.
Oh,
It
yeah.
seems a little.
But I also read a lot less of this
Duplicitous there.
than I've ever had to see Gambit.
Right.
as the issues wore on, because I read this book when it came out. As the issues wore on the letters page, Australian writers would chime in and say, "You are not using that slang properly,"
Oh,
and they
sure.
schooled him on it, and he learned more.
There's one word he used several times that I was going to look up. I wanted to see if it was Australian slang. Struth.
No,
that's
he's saying it's the truth.
No. It's God's truth.
Yeah, it's the truth.
It's short.
truth.
Okay.
Struth is English as well.
Okay. All right.
It's not just.
Was not familiar with it.
It's yeah.
All right.
It's the God's truth.
Next one down. We're going to post. If you have never seen this cover, we'll post this up on the website and on the Facebook page. It's not Tony the Tiger. It's Bronze Tiger.
Bronze Tiger.
It's Ben
Turner.
Ben Turner, who is the second in command of the Suicide Squad. Although he is actually right, he is incarcerated. He was a brainwashed member of the League of Assassins.
The League of Assassins. He fought Batman at one point, but he's brainwashed.
He's brainwashed. He's actually in it, and he's trying to become a better man.
Right.
Which he doesn't even. When you read the issue where he fights, and the name is escaping me right
Lloyd will
now.
have those names in a few minutes.
He says, your training
Ray
belies
Von?
the League of Assassins.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Ray Von,
Ray Von. He says your training, shows that you were a member of the League of Assassins, leading you to believe that at that point he didn't even know that about himself.
Right.
He figured that out after the fact.
Yeah, there's a bit in there. I thought they got into that in this volume. I honestly don't remember, but he talks about he doesn't remember a lot of his past. And that's part of the brainwashing, and that's why he's
they really know.
They
I mean, all they really mentioned about him was he was a member of the team while he was, he's here because he's trying to figure out who he is, but they don't really dig into his past.
Okay, I think that it might be a couple issues.
Yeah, there were a couple of seeds, like I said, that the fight with Rayvon at the very beginning. You find out, he's league trained.
In this series too. Again,
that was the fight I was talking about. By the way,
it's stiff. Yeah,
It's a stiff fight.
Yeah, it's too bad.
the two greatest martial arts masters in the DC universe, and they just like block arm each other many times.
On that cover, I noticed he looks like a tiger.
Well, he wears a helmet.
There's a mask that he wears.
He doesn't wear it in the book at all.
He doesn't wear it in the book, and I question why
there is a point
they
where
use
He does.
his not his real face
There's
instead
a
of
great
that.
DC Legends figure they made a few years ago
With the
of
mask?
him with the mask
Oh,
on.
nice.
It looks
Yeah.
fucking great.
Yeah.
If you've ever watched Arrow, Michael Jai White played him, and they did the same. They didn't
bailed out after season 3.
They didn't use the mask either. All right, so on that end, on the bottom half here, we have Nightshade. Right? Was it Nightshade?
Nightshade.
She is a female character who is very important to the team actually because her power is that she can create portals that are think Nightcrawler kind of Nightshade Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
That she can actually lead the team through. So it's a very important plot point. It exhausts her. She has to be able to, very much like Nightcrawler, she has to know where she's popping out. It can't just be like, okay, I'm going to do this and end up in China. She has to see the spot she's going to pop out
Has
in.
a 20. I think they said a 20-mile limit.
Right, 20-mile limit.
And when we first meet her, she's not Nightshade.
She's not Nightshade. She's
she's
one of the
not part of the Suicide Squad.
She's one of the several. Well, she is. She's undercover, right?
Right. Yeah. But we don't know that at first.
She's also a Charlton character. This was her.
Oh, really?
Yeah. This is her first big reappearance in comics other than the Crisis on Infinite Earths.
We'll move over to the other side of her on the bottom. We've got Plastique. Plastique is the character, if you want to know, that is not going home.
No.
Issue 2, right?
You got that wrong. That's Mindboggler.
Yeah, Mindboggler.
Wait.
Where is he on there, though?
No, this is Plastique.
No. Plastique is the redhead.
No, that's Mindboggler.
No.
Mindboggler has the mohawk.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay, I apologize.
She's the one who held off all the guards when they infiltrated.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, Plastique has got the explosive.
Oh, fuck, okay.
Yeah.
So okay, that's Mindboggler. Mindboggler does not make it home. In their first mission, Captain Boomerang has a very good chance of telling her she's about to get shot in the back, and simply for the reason that she wouldn't fuck him in the 19 times. There's about 19 times in issue 1. It's truth. Issue 1 and 2, he spends the entire 2 issues trying to get into her pants, and she keeps on telling him to go fuck himself. And a villainous character, as they're escaping in the second issue, is behind her. He could say something, he doesn't. She gets blown the fuck away. So that's another point against Captain.
Chaotic.
Doesn't he
evil.
even have some dialogue in his head that actually says that?
I think so. I think he's like,
I could say something,
Yeah,
but I
I could
won't.
say something, but
He also does something else that's pretty terrible in that issue. We'll get to in a minute.
Oh yeah.
Now this is a question I had here, and I will ask because I was confused. I'm confused on this. Is that Rick Flag or is that Nemesis?
No, that's Rick Flag.
Okay,
right.
So Rick Flag, as we said before, son of Rick Flag Sr., Colonel, the leader of the team, the only member that's truly not an incarcerated fellow or female.
He's got his own problems.
He does have his own
Yeah,
problems.
he does.
He does have his own problems.
This is a very adult book for the time period.
It was. There's a lot of race relation stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on.
There's a lot of psychoses going on here. So.
Back to Secret Origins 14, that gives you a lot of what the history that drives him.
Which is why I wish that issue had not been put first for the collection.
Yeah.
That book came out after the series had started. So the Secret Origins issue was probably almost a year into the Secret Suicide Squad book being out.
So it was like reading
okay.
I get it. Okay.
So it came after the fact.
Yeah, and it reads better after the fact rather than ahead of the fact.
Well, because you're learning about a character you know already.
Right.
Instead of going in and going, okay, this is
Kind of like Darth Vader.
Well, the thing is, they start talking about Rick Flag and why he's this way, or Karen Grace, the character that's
we can't tell them about our love.
Why she's so cold to
well,
him.
at the very end when she pops up and when he goes, I'm not going to leave men behind. She goes, why? You
why,
left
you
two
did
behind on the
before.
mountain.
Right. It's better to learn it after the fact than ahead of the time. It's just there's all these little bits and pieces that you're like, what the hell happened there? I like it. It reads better after you learn about
It helped
I
me
read it
reading.
after,
Yeah.
It helped
and
me reading
I
before.
liked it.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine reading it first.
Hey, as I open this book up and I'm looking at it, I'm like, why is this issue first? It sucks this way. I mean, whoever edited this thing together should be spanked.
So you liked it that way, though. It helped you a little bit?
It helped me in the
For
whole
you,
thing just
maybe,
to
yeah.
understand because I've never read any of this stuff
But
before.
story-wise, it doesn't work well.
Yeah, I like the Lost style. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
like
You learn
you
things
have all
after
the
the
threads,
fact.
and then you learn it after the fact,
Yeah.
and it all makes sense in
It's-
hindsight.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's story building.
Mind Boggler, by the way, I just want to point out.
Is a
go
lame
back
ass
to her real
character from
quick.
Firestorm. Yes, I know.
Her power is she can induce hallucinations, right? Because she uses it a couple times.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right. All right.
She can boggle people's minds.
Next character.
It's not the short cut off shirt she's got.
It's not that she's good at playing Boggle.
Yes, she's actually also
Oh,
very good.
okay.
at
because
that.
she's a punker, so she's evil.
She's a bad punker.
I'll take her on.
Yeah, I could totally. If I had to pick who would Lloyd date in 1987,
I mean, mind
it's
boggling.
Mind
Boggler.
It's
Mind
not. It's
Boggler.
not Plastique because she's hot.
Plastique is hot. Plastique is what does she do? Does she have a power, or is she just like a
She
demolition
has
expert? Or
no. Well, yes.
does she ever use it in the book?
Eventually, yes.
Okay.
She has an explosives innate ability.
Okay,
But yeah, she's an explosives expert.
so Plastique trades.
She's also she's also
She's a turncoat.
she's a turncoat.
yeah, she's not
We'll get
the
into
nicest person
We'll
in the
get
world.
into their mission in a minute, but on their mission, she fucking sells them out.
Yep.
And in repayment, when they all get back, minus Mind Boggler, the Amanda Waller has her fucking her mind erased of all Suicide Squad
No.
of all Suicide Squad information, and Rick Flag does not take lightly to that. It's very much like when Batman finds out that they all fucked with his brain in Identity Crisis.
Yep.
Rick Flag is not cool with what they're doing to these people. Even though they're criminals, starting to fuck around and get into your memories is a little bit much for him.
Just getting ahead of everything. Plastique becomes a very interesting character in the continuing Firestorm series at the time, and then eventually the Captain Atom series. She and Captain Atom become an item.
Really?
Yeah.
His big old metal dick.
Adam item.
Item.
He just falls for her because she's hot.
She is hot. If I had to pick,
She waffles because she's a mercenary.
Yeah.
So and he's trying to make her go straight. And it's a pretty good storyline that goes on in the Captain Atom series at the time, which I think was shortly after this premiered. So
yeah, well,
She's
because
a
there's
hot
an issue
waffler.
There's an issue of
Yeah.
Captain Atom not too far in that ties into Suicide Squad.
yeah.
Right, much
Well,
later.
because all those
Hot
books,
waffler.
all those books had some kind of government connections. So someone at DC at the time had the right idea to try and tie them all together in very tenuous ways, at least.
Right.
So they could bring up the Captain Atom Project. They could bring up Task Force X. They could bring up
Checkmate.
Yeah. Eventually, yeah, which was Paul Kupperberg.
I'm still missing one issue of that fucking series.
Yeah.
That's another one. I put all the books together in a quarter, and I'm like I can't find one. I haven't looked hard in a couple years, but
Oh, and there was Peacemaker, which was a miniseries. That was
Manhunter, right? That kind of
Manhunter kind of tied into it a little bit. Yeah, there's all kinds of crazy stuff.
All right,
like
so
that.
you Lloyd can have Mind Boggler, John can have Plastique, because the last member of the Suicide Squad,
I like Nightshade myself.
Nightshade. Okay,
that
you guys got yours
That
picked
mini
out?
skirt goes a long way. For
You
me.
might think that now that there's only one girl left in the Suicide Squad for me to pick, it's going to be Enchantress. No, I'm going gay.
My favorite character in the DC universe.
I'm going
Yeah.
gay for Floyd Lawton, Deadshot. I've said it before when
Oh
we had
no,
our
I
DC.
thought you were going to female.
No, I'm going
Oh, you're getting
Deadshot.
Deadshot. Well,
He's the last member we haven't talked about.
yeah.
And I just, I said it when we had our episodes with Mark Mastel, where we talked about DC heroes and villains. He's one of my favorite villains in the DC universe, and these 8 issues just solidify it. He's just this. Okay, so Deadshot is just this grew up rich. He's apathetic to everything.
he's
He doesn't-
the anti-Batman.
He's the anti-Batman.
Yeah.
He's bullseye.
He's kind of got a death wish,
He's
but
got a death
he's a little
wish.
wishy-washy about it.
He's here voluntarily.
But see, no,
Yes,
here's the
exactly,
thing.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. And I know we're kind of supposed to laser it in to this book.
Yeah, it's tough.
But see, it's kind of tough with certain characters because you know more about their history.
Mm-hmm.
Did he have his daughter at this point? No. Okay.
That wasn't until the Deadshot miniseries that Christos Gage
That
wrote.
was a great miniseries too. I love
That was
that.
the first time you learned about any kind of
Well,
family.
but I'm saying yeah, okay. So I mean, like they didn't have this knowledge when they wrote the character in '87 that came in late. You get what I'm saying? Like this wasn't always.
Well, let's put it this
she
way.
wasn't always a part of his backstory.
No, because when Deadshot was a part of this book, he was a zero. They were
Right.
These are characters that nobody gave a damn about, and Deadshot as a Batman villain, no one really gave a damn about. He hadn't appeared since the 70s.
You
Did
remember?
this really
he didn't
rejuvenate these characters and give them more life?
This book gave Deadshot headline status to the point
Right.
where they gave him his
Yeah.
own miniseries.
Right.
Yeah, because I remember
What
his
about the
miniseries
other
spun
ones?
out of this, but
Like
it's always
what?
hard to keep.
Any,
It's always hard to keep
any of
it
the
straight.
other ones,
No, I
come
mean,
out strong after this? Or
Not
no?
really.
Bronze Tiger has been used,
A-
here and
yeah,
there.
a little bit.
Captain Boomerang is a rogues gallery member.
Well,
so
this-
he's always been used.
Right, but he didn't have a personality like the one he's got
Right.
now until this book.
Right.
It wasn't until Ostrander and his writing partner Kim Yale, when they took over these characters, they made them fully fleshed out. They gave them psychoses and personal issues and everything you could possibly imagine to make them true characters. It was great stuff.
Do you remember in like the late '90s when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers went from those creamsicle uniforms to the pewter and red?
To the
Remember
color.
that?
To the sexy uniform.
They literally went from worst uniforms ever to best.
Yeah.
That's
Oh.
also very much like Deadshot.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Deadshot's
with the
or-
creamsicle?
That's terrible.
Come on, man.
It's
Those things are
fun.
classic.
Oh god.
Oh, God.
No, they
with the
were all-
with the buccaneer, the sword and the teeth,
Bruce.
and the
Bruce
yeah,
the
I know.
Buccaneer,
But I mean,
yeah.
come on.
No.
Oh,
No, it needed to go.
So
away.
if you,
Oh,
if you
man.
have ever seen
these things are classic.
Deadshot in his original costume
his top hat.
compared to what he has, for the last 35 years, it's such an amazingly great change because
Well, you know who redrew the costume? You know who designed
don't.
that? That's Marshall Rogers.
okay, all right, the famous bat detective artist.
Yeah, that's when they recreated his outfit for that run when Marshall Rogers and Steve Englehart.
Steve Englehart, yeah. So Deadshot has the classic red white costume. The guns are on the wrists. He's got
the
kind of
wrist magnums.
Wrist magnums. He's got the mask with the targeting reticle, and before that, he wore a top hat. He wore like
Top hat and
tugs and
tuxedo.
tails.
Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, he's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
That's a good look what he's got now.
And just so everyone knows, if you've only seen the movie, in the comic books, he's a white guy.
He is a white guy.
Not that it matters.
It
but-
doesn't matter, but
No, but it matters in the performance in the movie.
no,
Yeah.
not just that, but
Well,
also
I think. I don't know if that. I mean, just tying into the movie, I think they got the character. I think completely wrong too in the movie.
I completely agree.
You know what I mean?
they-
Not
they
even
got
that.
the
It's
character-
just
they got the character much more close to what he is in the current DC universe.
Yes, I would agree with you, and that was a slow build too. As the character progressed through DC prior to the New 52, he was changing
Right.
quite a bit.
In this book, you could still see, obviously, even though he's there voluntarily, he's still very much a smarmy fuck. I mean, yeah, he's apathetic. He's there voluntarily, but there's bits where, again, there's a lot of bits in
Constant
this book.
smoking.
Constant smoking, the porn stash, and there's just a lot. There's a lot of bits. There's a bit where he just goes on this whole tirade about how all women are hookers, one way or the other.
Yeah.
All women are. Doesn't matter what you are. If
All
you're a
women are
woman,
professionals.
You're a professional. Whether you're my
And then,
psychiatrist, you might as well just sleep with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see that's what prompted me to think. But you're saying they were zeros before that.
yeah.
That entire diatribe, monologue, whatever you want to call it, is what prompted me to think that he had his kid at that point. Like he had been through the nasty divorce. You know what I mean? Dealing with the mother. You get what I'm saying? Like he was a man who.
I get it.
That's why I was sitting there thinking to myself, gee, I'd have did he have that backstory at this point? But apparently the answer was no.
I highly recommend, if you're into Deadshot, especially after reading this, read the miniseries that they did back then.
Yeah, I have it.
I have it. Yeah.
It's so anti-Batman. It's everything Batman could have, everything that could have happened to Batman if he lived in that kind of environment. It's awful.
All right, so that covers pretty much the actual Suicide Squad, but I don't think we can talk about Suicide Squad without at least talking about the Wall. John, who's the Wall?
Amanda Waller.
Amanda Waller.
The best comic book character in history.
You love her.
I do. She is the best.
She's the best. I concur.
Yeah.
She is awesome.
If it wasn't for the wall, I wouldn't look at some of the secondary characters as much as. But I think she surpasses any of the superheroes. She's so complex.
When she punches Tolliver, that's probably the single best moment in the whole story.
Yeah, knocks him on his ass. Yeah,
She's a short, fat black woman with attitude to match pretty much every chip she's got.
Yeah.
And she's got lots of chips. And I forget, did they get into her backstory here? Or is it
Yeah,
just
a little
in
bit.
Secret
They talk
Origins.
about
it's,
her,
it's in the
Really,
Secret
yeah.
Origins where
Yeah,
they
really get
really
into it there.
Yeah,
her
okay.
husband, her daughter.
Yeah, yeah.
they
yeah.
get into it.
She has a big family. And
They get into it minorly in issue 8 too.
Yeah, yeah.
Because issue 8 is the one where the psychiatrist or psychologist is kind of talking about each
Simon
member.
Simon Legree.
Simon Legree.
Simon
Yeah.
Legree, who came from Firestorm.
Okay, is that where?
He's another Ostrander creation. He came from Firestorm, ends up in a number of books that Ostrander writes. So he appears in other books later on. He
Suicide
created
Squad,
his own world.
he's got
basically.
his
I would say
own
the
corner.
Ostranderverse almost.
Almost.
Yeah.
Almost.
He's got his whole corner of the DC universe.
There's more because the priest, Father Kramer,
I don't remember. Do I
Is he
remember?
in this?
I believe he popped up at least once because he does
Okay.
talks to June Moon often, and he talks to Nightshade quite a bit.
Okay.
But Father Kramer is a Catholic priest who is stationed at Bellerive. He ends up in as a major character throughout the series, but he ends up in the Spectre series that Ostrander wrote
Oh,
too.
okay.
So yeah, and it's fun.
You know, when they first introduced June Moon, her name didn't have an E at the end.
Yeah,
and then later on it did.
There is that too.
All right, so
Nerd.
are you being a nerd?
And being a nerd.
I'm gonna shout at you and tell you to go kiss a girl.
I'm a nerd.
Toby the nerd. All right, so
Yeah, you've got a whole list of
who he was in the book. Who was the guy? You got the groundskeeper. What was his name?
Willie?
No,
you mean the guy in charge of Bellerive?
the guy in charge of Bellerive.
That's John
I'm sorry.
Economos.
John
Economos,
Economos, right? And then
Another complex character that he's got like 17 different ex-wives he's got to pay for, and that's why he's there 24 hours a day.
who's the chopper pilot?
That's Briscoe.
Briscoe. Okay. Because he pops in at one point, and I'm like, is this Wild Bill? Is this Wild Bill from G.I. Joe?
Briscoe has a helicopter that he is voice commanded. So
Airwolf,
Sheba.
basically.
Yeah.
Sheba,
Right, Sheba.
yeah, Sheba.
Sheba,
Yeah,
yeah.
because they have Sheba, they have the SS-1, which is like
And the SS-1 is a throwback to the original.
the carrier with the open up
Yep.
cockpit or front end. It's like
It's a giant cargo plane.
Yeah.
It's like a C-130.
Like a C-130,
Yes,
right.
that's what you're looking for. Yeah.
Yes.
So and it's bright red.
Yeah.
So you get for a covert group, you can't see that thing coming.
And I did think that in the issue where Sheba comes and
Sir, is a giant red C-130.
I always laugh about that.
I guess it is a bad
covert
color.
operations in bright,
Bright
red.
not a great color. All right,
It actually also plays the Star Spangled Banner over loudspeakers when it's flying over the target.
all right.
But
Let's move into
there's so many background characters, and they're all very important to the storyline.
yeah. No, well, they made it a point in one issue to talk about how like they found it important to have like a chaplain,
Oh, yeah.
and a psychologist
Yeah.
because
The psychologist is very important to this book.
even though these people are criminals and they are using them in a way that if they're caught, they're expendable, the whole 9 yards. They still want them to be, I guess, looked after,
Right.
Because they need them for muscle. They need them to think.
Well, I was
straight.
going to say, Waller, in the scene where Waller knocks out, what's his Briscoe, or not Briscoe,
Tolliver.
Tolliver, yeah.
General
when
Tolliver.
she knocks him out, and he says, well, why? They're expendable. She goes, yeah, they're expendable if need be, but
To
they're
you
not,
they are, but, yeah.
Well, they're not just to be thrown away on stupid missions.
Right.
Yeah, don't just kill them. Right.
She's
Yeah.
cold-hearted, but she's not that cold, and she's very driven. That's the other thing. She's so driven, and
Yeah.
she's so complex.
Like, she'll do what she has to do under
Right.
any circumstances, but it's like, they are expendable if need be, but I'm not going to waste them because...
Yeah.
Right. There are other writers that never really nailed Amanda Waller properly. Ostrander is the only, as her creator, really gets into her head. And in the movie, I hate to keep going back to the movie that has very little to do with this book other than taking framework storyline. When Viola Davis's version of Amanda Waller shoots all the people in the room,
Oh, right.
that was the only thing I hated about that movie.
Yeah.
because it was so against character. She's cutthroat. She's not that cutthroat.
She's cutthroat, but she's not she's
not a murderer.
Ruthless or a murderer. Right. No, I agree. She's going to get the job done no matter what, but not necessarily at killing fucking people.
Yeah, innocent people.
First arc that we get into introduces these characters. We are introduced to a scene of a extremist group in Iraq called the Jihad. That is like a government-funded...
Not too ham-fisted here at all.
Yeah.
So ham-fisted.
Yeah, I know,
So
right?
ham-fisted. And the Jihad is basically Iraq's leader. The president has put together this, through his...
They were far less concerned about racial stereotypes back in
Yes, they were.
1987.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, right down to the coloring.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So they put this team together that's going to be essentially international terrorists for Iraq, and the Suicide Squad or Waller and her crew there get wind of this and decide that they have to send the Suicide Squad in to take these people out.
Perfect first mission.
This first is it 2 issues?
2 issues.
The first 2 issues that go on about the Jihad and Iraq and all this stuff. I loved it. Because it is the Dirty Dozen. Mm-hmm. It is every one of those movies that you loved as a kid where a group have to go into this mission to the very point where they did something that I love is where you get like you've got the bad guys and the good guys and they send off each one against another.
Yeah.
Right.
And you get these great little moments where you get to see individual members of the Suicide Squad going after individual members of the Jihad. Lloyd, let's talk real quick about the Jihad.
The Jihad.
Give us the members of the Jihad.
Well, you got Rustam. He's the leader, and he's got the flaming scimitar.
Yeah.
Yep.
He can bring into the world a
Right, it
flaming
just
sword.
comes out.
In the very beginning, the team is attacking a airport to
Right.
show their might.
They're kind of exploiting. They're showing how they can exploit some targets in
Right.
the U.S.
Yeah, which gotta wonder if they would
Can I-
airport if they would use the airport today if they were doing that.
Holy
Can
shit.
I was going to
9/11.
say, I mean, like post 9/11 and everything else, I mean, can I say how well Ostrander wrote that scene and
brutal.
how terrifying and
Yeah.
brutal
Oh,
it was?
yeah, definitely.
I mean, like it really honestly was. I mean, when you
1987, mind
yeah. And when you sit there and you think about it, with the lens of, today, you sit there and go, Jesus Christ, they just brought all these people there. They were actors and, everyone else that they had for a casting call.
Yeah, they killed
and
them.
then
They
they
killed
just
them all.
killed
Right.
hundreds of people in a matter of like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay.
He takes the flaming scimitar and cuts the
Gets a
fucking wheel off
Air
the plane.
Force One in half,
Yeah,
cuts
right,
the
that
wing
was
off.
cool.
Yeah. All right, so Rustam, who else we have?
So then you got Jin, DJINN.
The world's first digital
Yeah,
man.
the digital man. He's like the Rambo genie.
It's a pretty cool idea
Yeah.
for the time
It is a
period.
cool idea,
Yeah.
and what I like about it is the way he's drawn.
Yeah.
Is different. He's supposed to look like he's
Right, it's like pixels.
like pixels,
Yeah.
and the way he talks, the letters are like almost pixelated. a bit.
like computerized letters, sort of.
Yeah,
Lettering is very important for the books at the time for DC, and people have, if they speak differently, you'll see a different typeface, which
Yes.
I like
Yeah.
quite a bit.
Yeah.
And
That's
very
good.
very good letter. I think that's Todd Klein in this book too. So
the Jin, the world's first digital man. He
Yep.
instead of a bottle, which is what usually a Jin or a genie will be in, he's in a little like box.
Yeah, a little
Yes, it was
box
Todd
with
Klein.
Todd Klein.
holes, and he just sort of wafts out of it.
Yeah.
old
Yeah,
Todd
he's like a
Klein.
fart. He's like
Yeah.
a digital fart.
But the cool thing about that is you also find out that the box that houses them, when they tie it into the computers, it actually plays a digital life for him
Yeah.
while he's actually
Right,
in there, which is
right,
pretty
right.
For
cool.
Sims.
Right.
Yeah,
that's
almost
right.
the Sims. Yeah.
And you could just step on it and break it.
Yeah,
He's all done.
He's in the Sims Karak.
not to give anything away, but that particular character and plot device rolls on much later in the series as well.
Okay.
So then moving on, you've got Manticore. He's just a dude in a lion suit.
He's got a scorpion's tail.
claws, a scorpion's tail. I
Yeah.
guess shoots grenades.
He actually isn't. He's mutated.
He's mutated,
what it
so
is?
it's not a
He's
suit.
a mutate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they
Okay.
genetically altered him to look like that.
He's the muscle.
The muscle.
He's the muscle of the jihad.
Yeah.
But he goes out in the weirdest way possible.
Right?
It's
He
just
has
like
It's
He has-
perfect Deadshot.
It's
too.
just, it's just like, I wonder if your head is armored. Guess not.
I do love
And that was basically it. He dropped like an elevator on him, and he did all this other stuff. And then he lights into his chest, and he's like, "Gee, I wonder if your head's armored. If I can put some rounds through his dome." And he's like, "Yep, nope, you're dead now."
Yeah.
And he's so calm the whole time.
Yeah, the whole time.
Well, and then after he kills him, Manticore is like laying on the ground, and his face is a crater. It's just smoking.
It's just like you sit there and you're going, "Oh, okay, so we dropped an. Oh no, he survived the elevator. No, now we just shot him 800 times in the head. Yep, that'll do it."
You get very used to in these issues knowing that, especially Deadshot, that these characters aren't. This isn't Terminator 2 where they're going to shoot people in the leg. Like they're just going to kill
they're-
motherfuckers left and right. Yeah.
Yeah, they're dropping bodies.
All right, who do we have next, Lloyd?
Then you got the Flash wannabe Jakuli.
Jakuli?
He can only go fast. He's got bursts of speed.
Was it
I
like
guess.
3 seconds at a
Yeah.
time? Yeah.
Yeah, and that was a great scene too.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a
And
second.
he throws javelins.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
He's got such a great
They just threw
skill
that
set that he can be defeated by Boomerang.
when Digger's like, yeah, you're not in the Flash's league.
Well, you knew once they sent him against him, and Digger's gone up against the Flash. You're like, this guy's stand a chance. He survives against the Flash.
Can we also just really briefly wonder why a terrorist organization known as the Jihad's secret base is called Jotunheim?
Jotunheim,
Yeah, I don't know.
It seems like it's mixing
land of
a
the
lot.
giants,
Yeah.
right?
It was a very cool secret base, though.
It was
Built
in
into
the side of the mountain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
Awesome-
an inverted
awesome-
stack of
Yeah.
hockey pucks.
Yeah,
they get
yeah.
smaller as they go down.
Right, it was built right against the side of the mountain.
yeah,
and there's
right
only-
out of it.
only
Impenetrable.
One entrance at the
At
bottom.
the
or
very
something.
bottom.
Yeah.
But it just seemed
Only
it just
accessible
seemed a
by
bit
the
odd.
hydraulic bridge.
Yes, the hydraulic
Oh,
bridge.
that's right. Yeah.
Get that bridge working. We'll get in there.
Right.
All right. Who else do we have for the last couple?
Then you got Chimera, the female member who creates portals.
Don't tell anybody. It's fucking Nightshade.
Yeah, it's Nightshade.
we find out.
She's a double agent.
She's a double agent. Chimera is Nightshade. Who else we have?
Then you got Raven.
Ravon. I think I read
I'm
it
not
as
sure.
Ravon. Yeah.
And he's really good at murder and assassination.
Yeah. He's a thuggy.
Yeah.
Which is also what the villains in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom were.
Yeah.
He's a true assassin.
He's a true assassin. He's a member. He's one of the last surviving members of the Thuggy cult.
Then you've actually got a couple more. You got Marlowe, who's the president of Karak.
Yes, Marlo.
Right, he's the linchpin of this whole
He's the-
ordeal
yep.
organization.
little bald dude.
And then Mushtaq, international terrorist for hire.
Wait. Hold on. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody.
Yeah,
All right,
no.
what you got? You got some inside information?
Mushtak
Yeah.
is Nemesis.
Oh my God.
They have 2 double agents inside the Jihad.
Two.
Like, you think it's bad enough that they find out that Chimera is, and they even mention when they talk about Chimera, they say Chimera is the first female member of the Jihad.
right.
Like, she's got a pin at home.
Yeah.
First
Female
female
member.
Well,
terrorist.
but remember, it's
And she showed her hair.
a
too.
woman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, but I know.
They're,
It's
they're
funny.
Islamist.
It's funny that they finally go out, like the Jihad actually go out and go, you know what, guys, it's time we bring a woman in. And the first woman they hire is a fucking double agent, you dumb motherfuckers.
Yeah, but I mean, like, her power set is so powerful that, and so strong and so desirable that they really had no choice but to bring her
I
in.
actually love the bit with
which
her.
is actually a great plot device because,
Right.
I mean, like, obviously they're not all that woman friendly. And, it's like, so she had to be doing something pretty special in order to actually get on the team. And, her power set is what what they use. Yeah.
They let her not wear the burqa on mission.
Yeah, exactly. Hey,
And bringing up Nemesis because it's a big deal. for
trying to be
Nemesis.
sensitive and talk around it here.
Yeah, okay. So we talked about all the characters
Yeah.
earlier.
Nemesis is your secret character.
We didn't talk about Nemesis because he's a secret character. He's never mentioned in the very first issue.
Not at all. He was a big surprise as a reader for me because Nemesis at the time was considered dead.
Tom Tresser, right?
Yeah,
Tom Tresser.
In the showcase series that he had, he was killed in his last issue,
Okay.
supposedly.
Before this came out.
Yeah, he had died a number of times during his
Yeah.
own run. So the last appearance of Tom Tresser as Nemesis, it looked like he was dead again, and then the storyline was never picked up again. So at the time of the crisis, he was considered dead. So
See, I didn't know this character. When he showed up, I'm like,
yeah,
who's this fool?
Yeah, if coming in cold, you wouldn't know
Yeah.
until he appears in his sweater outfit with
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
justice scales on it.
Yeah. So was there like a Nemesis series at one point?
No.
Or was
He
he just someone that popped up in?
It was part of Showcase.
So he kind of is just a new character.
No.
Or you mean Showcase in like the 60s?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Showcase. When I say Showcase, I mean the comic book series Showcase.
Sorry, I'm
all
thinking-
these characters. A lot of them.
I was thinking
appeared
of
in-
Legends. Sorry. Yeah.
No, he wasn't in Legends. No, at this point he was considered dead. So for him to reappear, it was like, oh, there must be a story.
Because like an issue or two later, they get into how he ends up on the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
That was one. I mean, I think I read this pretty well, and I got everything even the stuff I didn't understand, like where they tell you have to read another book. I got everything. The Nemesis, I was just like confounded by. I'm like,
because he's weird.
who is this fucking guy?
Yes, Tom Tresser.
Yeah, he's mush talk, then he's not. And then like there's another later on.
Yep.
There's another bit where he's fucking undercover. Lou said it perfectly. He's Mission Impossible 2.
He kind of
in comic book form.
He really is.
Yeah.
Had you
exactly.
ever read this before? The Suicide Squad?
Funnily enough, I read up to issue, I think, 11 a couple years ago. I will say this, though. This is really weird because I have a pretty good memory. Rereading these first 8 issues, I remembered none
Zero.
of it.
All right.
Like, not like, where you read something and you go, oh, I remember this bit, that bit. I remembered fucking nothing. The thing I remember most about reading this series the last time was that issue 9 was like throwaway because it was a crossover to Millennium. And I remember when I read that being like, oh, this issue, it made no sense because
it's clunky,
it was it was very clunky because it was part of a big crossover. And issue 10 is fucking, I liked issue 1 through 8.
Issue 10 is the
is
best-
fucking fantastic.
one of the best covers of in history.
Yeah, it's Amanda Waller pushing Batman up against a wall.
What crossover was this part of?
Millennium. Right?
Millennium. And in the history of crossovers, how deep does that go? Like, was Crisis the first?
That was the
Big
first
crossover?
big company crossover, even predating anything that Marvel did. I mean, as far as a company-wide crossover, that was the biggest fucking thing on Earth.
Right.
I mean,
That one issue.
it made
Or multiple Earths, so
Well,
to
yeah,
speak.
yeah, exactly.
Go ahead. If you like this, go past it and at the very least read 9 and 10.
Mm-hmm.
When you read 9, it's literally just like reading gobbledygook.
Yeah.
Because it's part whatever of a multi-part story. And there's really it's not like they drop you and say in previous issues of Millennium.
You don't get
So I do remember reading that one issue and going, fuck, I hope the next 3 aren't Millennium tie-ins, because I'm not getting this at all.
The reason I stopped doing my reread and re-review of the Squad was I got hung up on Millennium. I couldn't find my copies of it. It was in storage somewhere. Millennium as a whole is a fucking rock around your ankle. It's
Really?
awful.
Wow.
It's awful. It made no sense at the time it came out. It's just a clunker of a story. Not to get off track here, but it centered around the Manhunters.
Were these crossovers a common thing at the time, or was it kind of a new thing?
It was still new. This is it was first Crisis, then Legends, then Millennium. Millennium was a fucking clunker. Oh my God. 8 issues of god awful. It was just awful. It was awful. And then they thought it was going to be the biggest thing since Crisis, and it fell flat.
No bueno.
Super flat.
That
No
one
bueno.
issue was no bueno.
Yeah, because you got characters in there that weren't part of the Squad, and it was tied into the whole overarching storyline from other books. It made no fucking sense.
Right. We get to Jotunheim, and basically Flag sends everybody off on their little missions. Deadshot gets Manticore, as we mentioned, this great moment where he drops an elevator on him, blows his head off, basically. Let's see. Captain Boomerang ends up with, what was his name again?
Jakuli.
He defeats him in pretty easy fashion. Knocks him over
Well, it took 1 and 1/3 pages
right.
to
It was
defeat him.
super quick.
It was so great.
But then it was a really important character moment for Boomerang because it really kind of settles what kind of guy this guy is. He defeats him pretty handily. The guy's kind of like on a ledge. They're very high up, and Boomerang just knocks him the fuck off.
Yeah,
when
he's
he's falling off and he's going, maybe you could do what the Flash does and create a splat. Guess not.
Yeah, he tells me
Create a vortex,
create a vortex and an
something like the
upwind.
Flash used to do. No,
and literally you have the splat sound effect.
That was awesome.
Mindboggler goes, and Plastique goes, and tells on everybody,
Yeah.
and tries to sell herself over to the other side. Plastique ends up. I don't know.
They bring her back and brainwash her to
No.
forget it all.
I'm sorry, Mindboggler.
Oh, Mindboggler.
Mindboggler ends up distracting the people she has to distract, and upon trying to leave again, as Boomerang's trying to leave, hence she wouldn't fuck him. It was
She got gunned down.
she gets
yeah,
gunned
she
down
got gunned
by
down on the back.
the main guy. What was his name?
Rustam?
Rustam blows her away. She's the character that doesn't make it through. Bronze Tiger has the awkward kung fu fight with which is great. With what was the guy's name?
Ravon.
He breaks his back with like a kick, and they have this great Warriors moment, like my back is broken, finish me off. And
that's how he knew he was League of Assassins, because he broke his back. That's it's a big thing.
But he doesn't kill him.
He kicked him.
I know, but like backbreaking is a League of Assassins thing. I was trying to make a Batman joke.
I got it.
With his little yellow slippers.
He did. He has little.
Well, that joke died.
It took a minute. He kicks him, breaks his back.
They can't all be zingers.
He asks him to kill him, and Ben Taylor tells him, "I won't kill you." Turner, right. Ben Turner tells him, "I won't kill you." He does the honorable thing, takes off. What other matchups do we have there? Rick Flag and
Rustum go at it.
They have a fist fight.
Yep.
And I think Flag knocks him out, but doesn't kill him, because even Flag says, "We're not here to kill these people.
Right.
We're here to stop them."
It was just Takuli got killed.
And Dejin, who takes
and
care of Dejin?
Manticore gets killed.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Manticore gets killed. Who took care of Dejin?
I forget.
It wasn't June.
No, it was. You know who it was? It was Enchantress, right?
Was it?
Was it June? Yeah, you know what it was, June.
Well, they take the thing, right?
Yeah, I think she destroys the computer systems.
Right.
And they say he's going to be in that room.
Right.
That's his bedroom. Because they actually have a bit where they talk about where everybody's bedroom is. They're like, Jakuli sleeps under the stars.
Yeah.
That's right.
And Dejin is in the computer room.
It's all the information they need.
And then they're like, the only one that wanted a bedroom himself was Ravon. Yeah. Ravon, likes the better things in life. There's like 2-page spread about the fucking jihad's bedroom situation.
He's got the silk sheets.
He has silk sheets that are spun of the finest Arabian
got a poster
silk.
bed.
800 count Egyptian.
One other thing
He's got a naked titty poster of Samantha Fox above his bed. I'm sorry, Lloyd. What were you gonna say?
One other thing that comes out of these issues is Karen Grace.
Yeah.
He meets meaning Rick Flag meets her, I think, on the plane.
Yes, she's kind
unexpectedly.
Of in silhouette.
Yeah,
he doesn't know she's going to be there.
Yeah, and she doesn't want their former relationship to get in the way of their business.
They keep mentioning throughout the series
former members of the original Suicide Squad.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Read Secret Origins 14, Bob.
She keeps throwing him under the bus.
Thanks, Bob.
Because previously they were with some other astronaut
coffee table
dudes.
books rock too.
He leaves them behind for dead, and then he leaves her because he thinks that she's
that was the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she brings
that
up very bitchily multiple times.
Yeah,
I know,
she brings it up.
She's like, "No, don't worry, Rick. You didn't leave me behind this time."
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
And he really didn't.
But he's like, "Come on, bitch! I didn't leave you behind. I thought you were,
It was an ice bridge. It broke.
Yeah.
They held off the Yeti.
She's got issues.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff going on here.
He's got issues.
Captain Boomerang wants to.
Everyone in this book's got
they're all
issues.
broken people.
Captain Boomerang wants to fuck everybody.
Yeah.
Plastique won't go for it. Gets her killed. Nightshade, we
That's
find out.
Mind-boggler again.
Nightshade has the hots.
How do you keep fucking up Mind-boggler?
Did I do it again?
Plastique?
Fuck.
The one.
One has a mohawk. One's a ginger.
One's got pink hair.
Right.
The one thing I will say though, not even looking back on the characters in hindsight, by the end of the 8 issues, Ostrander has really given you a solid idea of who these characters are.
Oh, yeah.
Except Mindboggler and Plastique.
Oh my God.
Except for those
I'm
two.
kidding.
Well,
I'm kidding.
the Plastique story eventually goes back to Firestorm and then Captain Atom. So if you're interested in following the villains,
Right.
I mean, because she turned on him. She's not a member of the squad anymore.
Right. No. I assume that she, persona non grata.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what I was going to say before was that in the weird love triangles we have going on.
Oh, God, there's tons of them.
You also have Nightshade, who's really into Rick Flag Jr., who doesn't give a fuck about her because he's into Karen Grace. Meanwhile, Tom Tresser, Nemesis, just wants to fuck Nightshade.
Yep.
There's one great moment where they just talk about that. The two of them, like, so I'm not for you, huh? And she's like, you're a swell guy.
That was on the train in Russia. Yeah, when
you're no Rick Flag Jr. It's like, but I've got like.
Well, he goes, I'm jealous as hell.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he says. And she's like, you're a good man, but I still don't want to.
I love, getting past the whole Kuraki stuff. When you get into Russia and dealing with the Russian characters, all the Russian characters are a major plot device throughout the entire
Can we
series.
talk about how Gorbachev had hair in that?
Oh, yeah, he's got
Yeah,
hair.
It was
He's still got the
actually
wine
pretty
stain,
interesting.
but,
Yeah. It was one of those things that, like,
it's
going
how
back,
early.
remembering
Well,
Gorbachev from my youth. I'm like,
Gorbachev had hair.
Yeah.
It was white. In this, it was like brown.
Did
Yeah.
he?
Yeah.
I mean, because
But
I was
he
young
still
back
had the-
then.
he still had
so-
the
Well,
fucking
it's
splotch,
it
though.
slowly went away.
Yeah.
But,
Oh, okay. Because I mean, I don't remember. I just remember
he had
Gorbachev
that
was bald.
Charlie Brown hair for a while.
Yeah,
so-
Yeah, the
So-
two strands.
So after we get done with the first two issues, and we have the Jotunheim, the third issue is a one-off about the Darkseid sending the female Furies
Yeah.
to Belle Reve to get Glorious Godfrey, who has been imprisoned by the he's in
That's all
Belle
part of
Reve.
the Legends.
Okay, so that comes out of Legends.
Because Gordon Godfrey there was the instigator of the entire Legends series. So the 4-issue miniseries of
Okay.
Legends. He's the one. He's trying to stir up the populace against superheroes. That's how that whole thing.
So at the end of it,
Right,
I'm
that-
assuming he ends up in custody.
He ends up in Belle
Okay.
Reve. Yeah.
Yep.
So
Once they figure out that he's from Apocalypse.
the female Furies get sent down to get him out.
That's pretty cool, huh?
It was a good issue.
It's
Well,
like
I
when
like
you go
this
from
one a lot.
It was
simple
like
covert activity to wow, you've got superpowered villains coming in and just destroying everything.
There's one moment
Yeah.
in this run in that issue that I just love. So the female Furies come in and you've got Lashina and what are their names?
Stampa.
Stampa, who's like the muscle. Bernadette.
Bernadette.
That's what's his name? The Darkseid's right hand man. Desaad. It's
Desaad.
It's Desaad's sister.
Okay.
No Big Barda, though.
No, well, they
she
mentioned
had
her.
already
mentioned
been
it,
off with Scott.
she was-
She ran
there,
off
yeah.
and scot free.
Yeah.
And then what's her name? Mad Harriet.
Matt Harriet.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I was
Crazy
going to say Bernadette could have been B. Arthur.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
She's
It would have been a perfect cast.
It's pretty fucking skeletal. So they come down, and one of my favorite bits in this whole issue is so they end up in through the boom tube
Ram woman.
through the boom tube they end up in Belle Reve. They don't have to
Jack.
break in; they just end up in it. And there's
there's
a
boom tube right in there.
there's a great bit where the Rick Flag, okay, they've attacked, they're inside. And he commands a fucking tank.
Yeah.
There's a tank in the building that comes out of nowhere.
These
And
are
then
super villains they got to fight just in case.
it's just like you guys are using a tank indoors, man. Like, why do you have a tank indoors? But it was a good issue. It was a fun issue. It was.
I like this
one-off.
juxtaposed to they just came off a big win,
Right.
and they're easily defeated by the
it's
female
super,
Furies.
super easily defeated.
Yeah.
You got
Well, it served to put them in their place.
I love
Right.
Deadshot
Yeah,
not
you know,
coming out
exactly.
of that room.
Deadshot won't come out of his room because it's not a mission.
Right.
They radio him. He's got the cigarette. He's watching TV, and he basically just says, "Is this a mission?" They're like, "No, we're being attacked." It's
I'm not
like,
getting paid for
I'm not
this.
getting paid for this.
It's simple as
This
that.
isn't going towards anything. And the other one was Boomerang, right? Doesn't Boomerang just
Boomerang
go,
disappears.
Like,
He
I'm gonna,
He shows up on the last page.
Yeah, shows up on the
Hey,
last
what
page.
happened when I was gone?
So that was
He freaking ghosts. He's like, I'm out.
Sneaky little shit.
that was a good issue. What was issue?
Well, it's the
William Hell.
And then it goes, yeah,
Issue
William
4
Hell
was
four.
William Hell.
Well, hold on. That was 1 and 2, and that was 3.
Female Furies was 3.
3. What was 4?
William Hell.
Oh, that was 4. Okay, so William Hell is a racist. is a boy.
If
A
let's
superhero
put it
that's
this way.
just
if,
recruiting-
If Green Arrow were a KKK member,
Yeah.
is
Using-
basically
using a
William
crossbow,
Hell.
yeah.
boy, oh boy, did that issue feel very pertinent or
Oh my God,
very,
didn't it?
I guess, like to the times.
Yeah.
Like you've got this
Consider this is a book from 1988.
35 years old. Yeah, you've got this very rich white supremacist businessman, leader figure who dresses up at night as a superhero who goes out and he busts criminals, captures
Yep.
minority criminals, and gives those to the cops, and then in secret tells the white criminals, "You now have to go to." Well, he doesn't tell them it's his, to my white supremacist recruiting station and join up tonight, or I'm coming after you.
Yeah. Exactly.
Fucking crazy. Man.
Yeah, it was nuts.
It was super nuts, and it all basically boils down to
Done in one.
yes, one
One
issue. It's funny when I was reading the books.
You know how refreshing that is as a current comic.
Right.
Like I mean, just to have a story in 22 pages and have it be compelling and good and done, and you're on to the next thing.
Yep.
I just wish the industry went back to that.
And a
and I know
very
I say
good
that
scheme,
before,
I
but-
might add, to defeat the
Yeah.
villain.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, the old
way
switcheroo. Yeah.
the old switcheroo, and he's up there making a racist speech, or was he making a racist speech?
Well-
what was
yeah.
he
Well, he
saying?
basically was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, because they knew they couldn't make him a martyr.
Right.
You know, so
They
they had
didn't
to
wanna kill
completely
him.
and utterly discredit him.
Right.
Yeah.
Which was the only way they were going to get rid of him.
They have dead,
Covert activity at a whole
They
different
have,
level.
they have Floyd dress up as him and go up there and give a speech about, you know, brotherhood and, you know, everyone loving everyone
Yeah.
and everything else under the
Just
sun.
totally debunking everything
And
that
totally
the real
debunking
guy
everything
just
and-
said.
and
then
totally
they-
against
and then
anything
they have
that he
the
really
really-
believes in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the shooting the apple off the head to prove who it was.
With the very unique way of using time travel, I guess, or stopping time for a
Oh, they
moment
had,
to deflect the arrow.
Oh, yeah.
That was
So-
very cool.
Kronos' one appearance.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what's great about this. Is so now, fuck, I'm gonna say this wrong. So now, Mindboggler's dead.
Yes.
Right? Mindboggler's dead.
Yep.
So this is where we start dipping into, you know, there's other people here. So Kronos comes in.
With one of the worst costume designs in the history.
Very
of comic
strange costume
books.
design.
White face.
They make it a point that he's going to be part of this mission. You never see him, and then at the end, you find out that he just had one job to do.
Yep.
You know, he does his one job, and it's important to point out. Maybe I didn't point this out before that the character, the William Hell, the actual guy, I can't remember his name.
William Heller.
William Heller. People don't know
you
he's the
forgot
same
that?
guy. Yeah, I did forget that.
Well, remember, he wears the black goatee and beard and covers his blonde hair.
Right.
So nobody.
Well, I wanted to point out that people didn't know that he was
William Hell and
that
William
he was
Heller.
William Heller. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a really good issue. I
was
like that
good.
one a lot. So then we move into
But I have to say this real
Yeah.
quick. Kronos, this is where, like you were saying, they dip into the populace of Belle Reve, and they use him for one little bit, and then his sentence is commuted. And guess
Right.
where he appears in one of the other books like a month or two later.
one of the other.
Seriously.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he pops up again. It's like, oh, there's Kronos.
There's
He's
Kronos,
out.
and we know how he got out.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know,
I like the continuity between this.
There
you know,
was a very
the
big-
construct is very good.
They were doing a good job with a lot of the books at the time. Post Kaiser's
as long as
Curse.
editorial was really on the same page
Yeah.
for this series, or for at
for,
that
for
point,
everything at the time.
What
yeah.
a great way to go. Okay, well, we're in Batman. The Riddler just got tossed into jail.
Yeah.
Throw him in Belle Reve.
Well, that was
I could use him for a few because we in the next 3 issues we obviously see that a little bit.
if we get Greenberger on Mike again at some point, we can talk about that. How difficult it was to get the higher tier villains.
Oh, I can imagine.
You know,
I can imagine.
and that's why what you're going to say the next villain to appear.
Yeah. Well, but before I say that real quick, I can only imagine how hard it must have been to get them to greenlight a series about these characters. You know what I mean? Like, hey, so who's like I'm telling you right now, and there's a reason in the New 52. There's a reason Harley Quinn is in the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Well, but I mean, like,
because-
was it hard? Because I mean, like, and I only say that in the sense that, like John said, they were 0 characters. DC had nothing going on with them, so it's like, hey, I want to take these characters that we're literally doing nothing with and do a book with them.
So maybe what
DC might have been like, yeah, okay, whatever.
maybe a better
you
way
know?
for me to put it is it would have been harder today. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I've got 8 zeros. You know, let's set Deadshot back a bit.
Yeah,
I got 8 zeros.
The market is completely
let's,
different.
Let's
now,
do a
so,
let's
yeah.
do a fucking a ongoing series about these fucking 8 characters. Who? Plastique and Mindboggler. Which one's which? No one fucking knows.
Now let's drag Nemesis out.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah,
remember Nemesis?
who hadn't been seen since 1975. So
So the next 3 issues is the longest story arc we get, and it is about a
Flight of the Firebird.
Flight of the Firebird.
Yeah.
We get a writer, right?
Zoya
Zoya?
Trigorin.
Trigorin.
Yeah, Zoya Trigorin.
It's a very 80s theme too. This is your Americans versus the Reds.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
a lot
She's
of Cold
basically
War stuff.
she's a writer, a dissident writer, I guess.
Yep.
Yep.
Who is
Gorbachev does not want her to cause a revolution or become a martyr, so they're just keeping
has-
her under wraps a little
Yeah.
bit.
And it has one of the greatest twist endings.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Everything's twisty in this one.
She's
This story actually resonates throughout the rest of the series as well because it's such a mess.
and in this mess again, Kronos gets his get out of jail free pass.
Yeah.
So they have to bring someone else in, and who do they bring in? That's right, Oswald Cobblepot, the Penguin. They use him as he's the planner. He's the tactical mind behind this mission.
Yeah, the Penguin.
The Penguin,
Mind you.
Yeah. So they this is the Suicide Squad's field trip to Russia, to
Russia.
1980s Soviet Union.
Yeah.
And it's good. It's a good 3 issues. It really is. We don't even get there. There's a superpowered group of
Russians.
We'll go over them in a minute, but they don't even show up to the last issue. Basically,
Right.
I want to say this.
Yes, Hammer and Sequel.
Yeah.
And Bolshkovoy.
I was
whatever.
telling the guy,
Bolshoi.
I was telling the guys at work about the book this afternoon during lunch, and I was showing them like the people's heroes, and I'm like, if you want to see some of the worst tropes in comic book history, this is them. But it's very.
Let's go over it real quickly.
Exactly.
Let's go over the people's heroes real quick.
Now understand the people's heroes had previously appeared in the Outsiders comic.
Okay.
Batman and the Outsiders and the Outsiders.
They mention the people's heroes mention that they seem to have been supplanted by the Rocket Reds, right?
The Rocket Reds became the preeminent Russian group. Yeah, while the people's heroes kind of fell. Now the people's heroes were seen as villains because they were Russian.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing.
They're always the
Well, there was
villains.
a thing. It was a very time period thing.
We talked about that in the Stranger Things 3 episode. Is that the Russians were the bad guys?
Right,
Because in the
they were the bad
80s,
guys.
the Russians were always the bad guys.
And these bad guys were the worst tropes in fucking history.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Lloyd.
Yeah. So you just want to say the Russian, the people's
who
heroes
are the
characters.
we had? Yeah.
So you've got the leader, Hammer.
Hammer.
You know, just a big,
Hammer.
strong guy with a
in
blonde
Sequel.
flat top. I guess his wife,
Maybe.
right? Maybe at some
forget.
point,
Sister, maybe?
Bridget Nielsen.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, Sickle.
Hammer and Sequel.
Some lovely cleavage.
Which, for those of you
I
that
think
don't
that's her
remember the
superpower.
80s, the hammer and sickle were on the USSR flag.
Oh yeah.
That's yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's younger people listening who might not know that.
Yeah.
Well, now they do.
Yeah.
Now you know how lame it was. But it gets worse.
Actually, kind of a
does.
cool flag.
it gets much worse.
Can I say that out loud?
What's that?
It's actually kind of a cool flag.
What, the
Yeah, it's-
USSR?
Yeah,
Design-wise.
sure.
Can we get a Senator
'Cause of the
McCarthy
sickle?
judgment on that, please?
Yeah.
Senator McCarthy,
You could say
you're a
it.
commie.
Maybe.
So then you got
Bingo.
the big fat guy with a Cossack hat, Molotov.
Molotov.
Yeah.
Because that's a Russian
And
thing.
and I guess he can explode himself.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he's an explosive
Yeah.
guy.
He also makes a mean cocktail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he looks like a Cossack.
Yeah. Yeah. Then you've got Pravda, another woman.
I forgot about Pravda.
She's I don't know. She's got a ponytail. She's a telepath.
You know what the Pravda is, right?
It's the
Secret
newspaper
police?
in
Oh, is it?
Russia.
Okay.
That's
All right.
I think it means truth, right?
sure.
Yeah, she can sense like her power set wasn't totally defined, but she's kind of like a telepath. She can sense like mental resonance or mental
Yeah.
residue,
Again,
and
She
hunt
knows
somebody down.
She knows
that way.
whenever there's waffles within 42 miles.
Yes. She's a hot waffler too.
For people that really want to know these characters, pick up the Who's Who in the DC Universe back issues, because that's where you'll find out all about this
Yeah.
stuff.
I think I sense something, but it might be pancakes,
Vodka.
vodka.
And then my favorite, the skinny lean guy who's quite a good dancer, Bolshoi.
Bullshit.
Yeah, because that's not obvious.
Yeah. I'm surprised there wasn't a Gor. Or not
I'm sure he
Gorbachev,
wasn't called Baryshnikov.
I'm surprised there wasn't a Baryshnikov
Just because you can kick high doesn't mean you can fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oy.
So they go over to
They're
Russia.
awful uniforms.
Yeah.
to save Zoya.
They go to save Zoya.
Hammer, where do we find them? I don't know, Sequel. Ask Bolshoi.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was reading that, and I'm just reading these, Dan. I'm sitting there going, my God,
Oh, it's so
the
bad.
stereotypes are real.
It's so bad.
So the Suicide Squad gets sent into Russia to rescue Zoya, the dissident who needs rescuing. Turns out she doesn't. She wants nothing to do with it. She wants to be a martyr. She wants to be held prisoner in her country, like her father was, who was a writer also. So they go out there for basically nothing. Some great moments in this book. One of my favorites, again, because I really like Deadshot, is they're dressed up like Russian soldiers, and they've been discovered at this point, and they're running across the snow. They're being chased by Russian soldiers. And there's
Look at that great pose shot
Yeah.
of the people's heroes.
yeah, that's not too cool. they're being chased by the Russian soldiers are trying to find them, and at one point I think Rick Flag tells Deadshot to get their attention, and he pulls his rifle up, and there's 3 Russian soldiers next to each other, and he shoots the middle one right in the head. Yeah. Guy goes down. He's like, "Is that what you wanted?" And there's another great moment with Deadshot with a bazooka when they're getting away in one of the trucks. They end up rescuing her. In the end, it becomes this fight between them and the people's
Heroes.
The people's champs.
the people's
Not
champs.
the people's villains.
The people's court.
heroes.
the people's
bum,
court.
bum.
The people's elbow.
Bum, 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 bum.
Bolshoi will kick you.
Doug Llewellyn shows up.
shows up. Rusty, remember Rusty?
Oh, boy.
Judge Joseph.
And then John
A.
LaRoquette
Wagner.
for some reason. I don't know why.
What? That was Night Court. That was Night Court.
I know.
Dan.
Hi, I'm Harry Anderson, reminding you to walk. Go out and take a walk. It's good for your heart.
They end up getting rescued by Briscoe and Sheba, and the rest of the Suicide Squad. Who else was not there? Boomerang, Nightshade, or not Nightshade. I'm sorry. What's her name?
Black Orchid.
Black Orchid, who keeps popping up.
Yeah.
The mysterious Black Orchid.
But it's actually very cool because Zoya ends up getting killed.
Costume.
She does off panel.
No, she gets
Did
killed
they show
by
it on?
she gets killed by the Russian gunship. Is like blasting the ice, and she gets
The Hind
shot.
gunships,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And she's happy.
And she's happy.
That's what she wanted.
Because she's Russian.
Right. She's happy to be a martyr for her people. But it was a good 3-issue
But I mean,
arc.
if you think about it, it really makes a lot of sense. You know what I mean? Like if you look
from
back,
what-
if you look back on that time period with, Microscope, what the Russians did to political dissidents, locking them in jail.
Right.
I mean, becoming a martyr was probably the best thing she ever could have done.
Right. Well, that's what they
Yeah,
say at the end.
and-
Is
yeah.
they go back to the Gorbachev, the whatever the I don't know, the rectangular office is over there. I don't know
He's in the Kremlin.
He's in the Kremlin.
Kremlin,
And they basically say, well, this blew up in her fucking face.
Yeah, well,
It didn't work out.
Yeah, they didn't want her as a martyr, and she gets killed anyway. He's like, oh, thanks a lot.
Right. And at the end of that, Nemesis ends up staying behind. He gets captured by the Russians.
Yep.
Yeah,
So,
he stays out there.
As far as we get for this read up to issue 8,
Yeah.
he has not been recovered.
Right.
Which I'm sure is going to be coming up, hopefully, unless they just fucking leave him there. Nemesis did that twice because in the first bit, issues 1 and 2, when they have to get out of Jotunheim, he stays, but for whatever weird reason, the ship they take can only be can only be operated from like the inside of the. Remember, he's like, I'll stay and I'll
stay and
I'll hit the switch on the catapult. It's like that's a really bad design, but okay. And he gets out of that one. But in this one, as we end, he's stuck in Russia. And then we get to our last issue 8, which is called Personal Files, and it's basically the psychologist
Simon
Legreve kind of narrating and talking about the different people,
sort of ruminating over
How
everything
damaged
that's
these
going
people
on.
are. What the after effects of calling the group the Suicide Squad and going out on these missions.
Yeah.
I thought that was really smart.
Yep.
It's good stuff, and it continues on, that kind of stuff.
And that we didn't mention early. We should have mentioned this early, but like, well, one of the things they do with these guys is they make them wear like explosive ankle or explosive bracelets and stuff like that. So we've seen this trope in other movies and other things too. But if you don't do what we say we're going to do, we're going to blow your head off.
Yep.
Well, they upgrade to mind bombs later on. I mean, it's on the wrist now.
Yeah, it's on the wrist of this one.
Yeah, it's 1987 for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what a better way to learn. You blow someone's head off, they can't do anything for you anymore. You blow their fucking hand off, and now they might listen a little bit.
Yeah.
So he talks about Waller, and we get a little bit of her backstory, right?
Yes.
The fact that what do they talk about in that she is like she had a son that God, what a tough life.
Is this the issue where that comes back?
Her husband gets killed.
Yeah.
Her husband gets killed. Her son's killed. Her daughter is they mentioned brutally raped and murdered.
Yeah.
And this just kind of gets into how talking to him.
Yeah, and the husband goes after the rapist, and then he gets killed.
yeah.
Right.
Well, all they do is they touch on just the beats.
Yeah.
It's the Secret Origins 14 where they actually
the
you
details.
get into the details.
Yeah.
So basically you just find out that her son was killed, her daughter was raped and murdered, and then her husband was killed when he went to go after the rapist and murderer.
Okay.
And that's basically, it's just a few lines of dialogue and
Right.
and then they dig into it later.
Which is what I'm trying to remember exactly when the Secret Origins issue came out, and if it was issue 14, so that's over a year of the Secret Origins book, and I want to say it's a year after the Suicide Squad started. So
The only thing that I didn't get, so they only touch on what Lou said, which they expanded on in that other one. And what you get from their conversation, or what he's saying in this, is that he kind of convinces her to use that anger
Right.
into something
As a
else.
tool.
As a tool.
sure.
But what was she, like, at that point, how was she, She's not in charge. Was she just an employee of?
May of 1987, Secret Origins 14.
So not too long after the start.
Long after, yeah.
Yeah. So what was she in the DC universe at this point for her to be seeing this Legrive guy? It almost felt to me like they were saying
Her
that,
first appearance was in Legends.
right. So here's what I'm trying to say. If you get me,
What is she in the government?
right? Because
They give you that story in
that's in
Well,
here.
Because
She
honestly, up
inserts
until
herself.
that, I was going to say, if you want to,
wait, finish
go
what
ahead.
you're saying.
Well, she inserts herself with, I forget the other character's name, and kind of bolsters him up to go on and do more for, the living in the streets and like for her agenda.
Okay,
She slowly works her way
Yeah,
up.
she works her way up.
that's what I was trying to
She's
get.
really
to.
a nobody.
Yeah.
Right.
She ended up being the campaign manager for a Chicago area, person running for the House of Representatives.
Okay.
And she ends up being his.
Because in the book she mentions that she's like a Chicago housewife mother.
Yeah.
All this stuff happened, but she's talking to Legrive, who is like a government psychiatrist or psychologist.
Right.
So I was just wondering where that was in terms of like, and he, I'm going to shape you. I want you to use your anger. So I was just wondering at what point did she end up working for, whatever
Well,
it was.
they give you all that. Eventually.
Okay, that was my question.
Yeah.
And then we
Secret
also
Origins
get,
gives you all
And,
that.
and again, I mean, even the Secret Origin stuff is just a basic overview.
just touched on, yeah.
No, it's more than that. I mean, they give you some details into her background, but you don't know all the ins and outs of how she got into government and who she worked for. That comes out much later.
Okay.
You get more and more of that, especially with the introduction of Sarge Steele later on and
Legrive's assistant, what's her name? Do we know her name?
Marnie.
Marnie.
Yeah.
Marnie has taken an interest in Deadshot. Now, we talked earlier about Nemesis wants to bang Nightshade. Nightshade wants to bang Rick Flag.
Think about this really quickly. Psychiatrist getting involved with the villain.
Yeah.
This is 1987. This is long before any kind of Harley Quinn.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. She's almost Harleen Quinzel.
Yeah, look at that.
Huh.
And she's blonde.
Yeah. And she calls him Mr. J. No, she never calls him.
And she wears red and black spandex.
Mr. Floyd.
I love their interaction.
I'm connecting some
But
dots
she says
here.
it. She says it in a Brooklynish accent.
Wait a minute, guys.
Mr. Floyd.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Hold on. Mushtak is Nemesis. Just keep that in mind.
Mr. F.
So Lloyd, what they have a conversation that I think is very interesting, where he tells her his thoughts on all women.
Wait.
Yeah, you're jumping ahead a
is
little
Nemesis.
Is Gorbachev Nemesis?
Gorbachev is Nemesis.
Holy Christ!
Comrade Zestro.
What does in his little sessions with what's her name again? Shit, I'm
Marnie.
What does he explain to her how he feels about women
God.
in relationships?
In a nutshell, I guess Floyd Lawton is basically saying that all women are prostitutes.
Mind
of some
boggler.
sort.
Doesn't matter who you are.
Right.
You're a hooker if you're a woman.
And I think she slaps him,
A professional, he says.
and that turns him on, and then he
He kisses
goes
her.
in hard for the kiss.
It is a great 5 panels.
Yeah.
So you got the panel where he basically tells her that all women are hookers. She gets angry and slaps him. He gets a hard on.
Yes.
Grabs her.
Shows him his wrist magnum.
Yeah. Kisses her on the lips. He backs off and
Backs
says
up and leaves.
and says, "I'm sorry," and leaves. And then the next panel is her crying.
Yeah.
These two
she's
fucking
crying,
giant
yeah.
tears. And you're right, man. This is I don't know where it's going because I haven't read everything and I look forward to reading it. But you're right. I wonder if the Batman writers saw this a little bit, especially if this is an ongoing thing. If this is a one-issue thing, I could see where.
Well,
you're
the
okay.
animated series writers.
Yeah.
Right,
'Cause that's where
right,
she
yeah,
debuted.
You're right. And you get that, and you get him talking about Legrive, talking about how this job is fucking him up.
Yeah.
He can't sleep at night. There's
He's already old.
He's already old.
No,
as
look,
it is.
he's only 29, but
Who else do they talk? Oh, and we get into
There's quite a few other things that
Yeah,
happen in
give
this
us
issue.
some
they
more.
go into
Give
the
us some more.
Enchantress.
Let's get into the Enchantress. Yeah. They
That's-
go and
that's a good
see.
one.
They go and see
Stop
the
playing with your screen.
My thing keeps limping down.
Wow. They go and see the Enchantress,
Jeebus.
who you claimed before. What would you say about her? She confused you sexually, right?
No,
Madam
that was
Xanadu.
Madam Xanadu.
Madam
They
Xanadu.
take
Yeah,
her
they
to see
take
Madam
her
Xanadu. Bronze Tiger does.
because they realize That she's just a loose cannon with the Enchantress, just ready to pop out at any time.
We didn't mention it earlier, but the entire reason the Russian mission kind of went tits up was the Enchantress went murder boner.
Yeah, she got a murder boner.
She blows up this fucking doorway and almost kills a guy.
And Floyd grazes her skull.
Yeah.
That's one of the phrases he said.
Creased it.
Yeah,
That's the
creased
word
it.
he used. Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
word he
he
used.
did say crease it. He's like, I got an image to uphold.
That was a great moment in the Russian thing. Real quick, is where
She's
the
not impervious to bullets.
Enchantress is going fucking buck nutty, and Flag tells Deadshot to take a shot at her, and Deadshot's like, that's not what I'm here for, and Flag puts the gun to Deadshot's head and says, if you miss, I won't, and he just pops her.
Well, no, because he wants to kill her.
That's right.
And he goes, you're not going to kill her.
You're not going to kill her. And he's like, don't worry, I just creased her skull.
I got an image to uphold.
So they bring her to Madame Xanadu.
Madame
Damage to
Xanadu.
all these people.
Who gives her what is it? Some kind of a charm necklace?
The
or
necklace
something?
and the ring.
Yeah.
Yeah, necklace and
And
ring.
so when she comes out, the power is controlled by whoever's got
Whoever's
the ring.
got
The ring.
Yeah.
And neither one, because she's got two personalities, neither personality can solely decide to take the necklace off.
Right.
But the caveat on it is when this necklace does come off, because she's like, it will at some point, at the very worst, what's going to happen is both personalities are going to merge, and then the necklace is going to come off, and she's going to be even worse.
Right.
Because she's going to be repressed all this time. So you're playing with it. Basically, she says this will keep her under control.
Temporary solution.
But you have a
it's
ticking
bad.
time bomb.
But what do they say? Like,
Prognosis? Negative.
what do they say the entire reason for her being kind of unhinged is? You remember?
The entire reason? No, what are you
She's
going
addicted to the magic.
Oh,
And
okay.
they've touched on that in like Hellblazer and stuff too, where you use this magic. Magic is like a drug. Like you use magic and it's like you're powerful. You're a super powerful person. And she's every time she dips, June Moon turns to the Enchantress. It's for short periods of time, but she's getting like addicted to that personality and to the fact that she can wield magic.
And she's sexier.
And she is super sexy. She's
Yeah.
weird.
Weirdly
very,
sexy.
Very weirdly
like,
sexy.
Like I was saying before.
Leggings and pixie boots.
Very feminine in one panel and then maybe a little mannish in the next panel. And it kind of goes back and forth.
It does. All right. Well, one more quick thing before we rate this whole thing.
There's
and
a
wrap
couple
it up.
more things.
What else we have?
Does anybody remember Mark Shaw, the privateer?
Yep.
Oh, Jesus.
yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
He comes in and knocks Rick Flag the fuck out.
Yeah, because Rick Flag is getting a little handsy.
He was the one that was trained by the Manhunters. I was trying to
Yes.
think of who it was because
Right.
they threaded that seed in there
The
over to Millennium.
Privateer, previously known as the gay. Oh God, no, I can't remember.
The Gay Blade.
Something like that. Yeah. Seriously, it was.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It goes back a ways.
I was gonna say, fucking, we got to find that out.
Because Rick Shaw was...
It was in
Mark Shaw.
no. Rick
Shaw.
Flag was grabbing a hold of Karen.
Rick Shaw.
Shaking her, saying, I'm going to make you understand.
Right.
And
right.
he
Yeah,
comes
don't
in,
handle a woman like
and
that.
he says, the request of a lady should be as a command to a gentleman.
Yeah.
And then knocks him out.
Can I just mention too, okay, we're talking
Cavalier.
19
That's what he wanted.
Yeah, he's-
Cavalier.
We're talking 1987. We're talking obviously. We saw him before the what was it, the people,
People's Heroes.
People's Heroes. Terrible outfits. There might not be a worse comic book outfit than the
in
Privateer.
the privateer.
I mean, it's all bad.
Are you sure? Because you stack Kronos next to him, and
Let's see. His aliases were Privateer, Star Czar, and Dumas.
the stars are.
Stars are.
Oh God.
Dumas, often mispronounced as dumbass, and that's why he changed his name to the Privateer.
Dumas.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
the Dumas thing. That's
Created by Jack Kirby.
yeah. It
Just
goes.
to throw that
the
out
character
there, yep.
goes way back, and there's a lot of crossover stuff into the Manhunter comic book series that Osner also wrote with Mark Shaw, and he appeared in Wonder Woman comics. He was all over the place.
I mean, I get the feeling.
I'm serious. This was a Z-list character.
But like so okay. We haven't gone past issue 8, but I'm fine with knowing this. Is he a future member of the squad?
He is part of it briefly.
But is he a criminal or?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And a villain and a hero.
Okay, so he's kind of like
he waffled the line a little bit. He first appeared as a villain.
waffles.
Hot waffle,
Hot
man.
waffles.
Well, per the DCFandom.com website, currently he is a bounty hunter and defense lawyer.
Oh,
Who does that sound like?
you know what actually is funny about that?
I
Is,
think that's because when he appeared in the Manhunter series that the Last Manhunter series, the woman, the defense attorney. She had the power staff.
Yeah,
He was in that, and
He does have a power staff in this picture.
well, yeah, because
Or a staff of some sort.
Yeah, he got that from
the 2000s,
Manhunters.
the 2000 series.
Yes.
I didn't read that, but I wanted to.
I need to go back and read that too.
Yeah.
I got.
She basically had stolen stuff from different people.
Yeah,
right?
and one
she
was
had like a Legion
I
ring,
think-
maybe.
I think it
and-
was his power staff.
Okay,
So
all right.
But yeah, it ties into that Millennium series. That's why. Yeah.
A little known fact about the Manster is that in high school, his guidance counselor said that when he took his test, that his two possible jobs in life were either bounty hunter or defense lawyer. It's
truth.
So this is truth right here.
Wow.
You can start calling him the privateer.
Nemesis is Manster.
Guys, Nightshade is Chimera.
Oh no, no.
Did
I
you
know
read,
you didn't see it coming.
Did you read Wonder Woman when Nemesis was dating Wonder Woman?
No.
Really?
No, honestly, I've never really read Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I heard they just canceled it. So
Did they just cancel
Oh,
it?
again.
It just hit, didn't it? In the new previews, it hit issue 750. They're changing the nut. Well, fuck it. We're not talking about that. All right. One more thing.
One more
What's
thing that
one more
happened.
thing we had in this
the,
issue?
The final reveal,
All right. Final review.
if you will.
Is it Nemesis?
Boomerang
Yes.
is the Mirror Master, or at least
Boomerang-
posing as the Mirror
Boomerang
Master.
so Boomerang has gotten himself a sweet pussy pad.
Yes.
In the middle of Nolans.
Nolans.
He's in Nolans
Oh, mon cher.
knocking off some pussy, mon cher. And he decides that in his spare time, when he's not heroing for the Suicide
Well,
Squad.
except that the whore he brought up to his room was actually Nightshade who dragged his ass back.
no, not Nightshade.
Black Orchid.
Black
Boomerang.
Orchid. Black Orchid.
Black
Yeah,
Orchid
thank you.
shows up.
We're
Black
doing it
Orchid-
all over the place.
This one's a. I'm
Yeah,
having a
Was
rough
that?
time.
Yeah, that was Black Orchid.
Well, it's all masks. So.
So he's got
Orchid.
really he's got himself a sweet setup in Nolans. Right? He's hauling in the women, but he decides that like he
Got a
can't
pussy shack out there.
Those mutton chops really hit it.
he can't be like the criminal he wants to be. So he decides that his buddy Mirror Master, who died during around the time
during
of
crisis. He died during the crisis.
during crisis.
Yeah.
Get killed off. So
He somehow got his gun and got his uniform.
We gave
and
it
now,
to
Did he give it to him?
Yeah, he said he.
And now he's going
hey, these
to
rogues, they were tight.
he's going to commit crimes as Mirror Master.
Yep.
So I'm assuming again, without getting past issue 8, that this might be a little bit of a thread that goes on. But it was just a
little
fun.
bit.
It was a fun little ending there.
It's
Yeah.
a fun thread, and it's prior to the new Mirror Master appearing in Animal Man, which comes much later.
Okay, all right. So now that we've talked about this for the amount of time we've talked about it,
New
let's talk real quick.
in 1990.
This is a series that went from. Let's see. It went from.
Oh, it was great that Scudder gave me his gear.
Scudder. Yeah. It went from
Sam Scudder.
1987 to 1992. 66 issues.
Yep.
One annual. One special
special.
with the Doom Patrol.
Yep. There was a one issue. Issue 67 did come out with what was
Blackest
it?
Night.
Blackest Night.
Blackest Night. When Blackest Night came out,
that was
there
actually a fun little.
It was a good idea.
Yeah, it was really
When
good
Blackest
idea.
Night came out, which revolved around a lot of heroes and villains coming back from the dead. They did like 15 or 16 series that had been canceled, and
and some going back to the 60s.
gave them their next issue in line.
Yeah.
And there was a Suicide Squad 67, which was probably put out in like 2006 or 2007. We read issues 1 through 8 of a 66 issue series. So let's start with Skywalker here. What would you give this on a scale of 1 to 5? With you can do quarters and all that. And would you continue reading this, or are you going to continue reading this?
I'm absolutely going to continue reading it. I never read this incarnation of the group before. I've read the later versions.
Right.
This is the one that set it into what you
Yeah.
get now. So
And I actually enjoyed the hell out of it. So I mean, I'll easily go 4.5.
4.5.
I will tell you, it only gets better.
Yeah, no, I loved it.
And you get to issue 66, you're screaming because you want more.
The first 8 issues were so good.
Does this get canceled with an ending, or
No,
is
it's
it
got
ends?
a good, solid ending because they knew it was coming.
Okay.
So Osmonder really wrote a great ending to it, and he picks up the stories again eventually later on. They do the 8-issue miniseries.
Right. Right. Yeah.
With,
Keith Giffen. Or no.
No. Giffen did that series before
Right.
that. So.
Okay.
The Giffen series is really good. A lot of people shit on it, but
I have
I
it.
thought it was really good.
I picked that up in quarter bins too.
It's got a great ending too. So
All right, John. Well, you read it all. So I'm gonna
4.5.
ask you that. 4.5.
all the way.
It's so refreshing to hear high numbers come out of it.
This is one of my favorite series of all
No,
time.
I know. That's
so.
honestly, this is one of the reasons why I kind of picked this. You know, when we're doing these, I figured let's do a Suicide Squad because John loves Suicide Squad, and I wanted to kind of like hear you like go on about the stuff that you know.
I'll say this too. I would give it the full 5, but there are storylines later on that get the full 5. So,
all right.
This
So,
as a beginning, this is a solid hit the ground running book.
4 or 5.
Yeah.
Manster.
Yeah, for me, I enjoyed this. This is my first time really reading any of these characters. It was a big information dump on me, but I really enjoyed
Better
it.
than a big something or other dump
Do you
on
want to go back?
That's going to happen later.
later on.
Lloyd, do you want to go back?
It was
and
a
read
giant Cleveland steamer of a trade.
Yeah,
all those Mind Boggler appearances? You got to get those.
yeah, I got to go read all
Hey.
the mind-boggler stuff.
Plastique.
Hey, you can get those too.
So I'm going to give it a 4. I probably would raise up. I might read it again, or I might continue the series. I'm definitely going to buy it. I like you said, I think I got this on Hoopla, which you can get through your local library.
Matt, can you tell us
Oh,
about that real
nice.
quick? Because I don't want to do a commercial for them, but I think this is cool.
All right, so here's the deal. I went to my
I
library.
want to do a commercial.
Well, Hoopla's not paying us, but I think
Right.
people might hear
Well,
this.
you know
Well,
what?
maybe they should.
maybe they might now.
I don't know if I want Hoopla to listen to us because we were just talking about like a pussy shack 5 minutes ago.
don't
So,
think-
they're dealing with libraries.
Hoopla's nemesis.
Wait, guys. Wait, guys.
Hoopla.
Seriously.
Here.
Mush talk? It's Hoopla. All right.
Hoopla's degenerate.
Manster,
All right, let me get back. So what Hoopla is, it's an app. You can get it on any of your streaming services, Roku and things like that. You can get it on your phone, and you can get movies, you can get TV shows, you can get comic books, you can get regular books, you can get audiobooks. And basically what you're allowed to download 3 items per month for free.
And this is
And they've got a big list of movies. I mean, I got, what was that movie that Larry said, the vampire movie?
Transfiguration.
No, that one.
Twilight?
No, the girl that walks in the dark alone,
Oh,
something
right,
like
right.
that. Yeah, that's on there. So I watched that on Hoopla for free. And I rented this, got a month, so I've read it.
And this is tied into your library account.
It's tied right into, so if you have a library account, library card, I don't know if every single town is associated with it, but mine is, and you just log on to Hoopla, you download
Wallingford
the app.
won't be. We don't have computers in Wallingford.
Oh,
Yeah,
come on.
yeah.
You got the
You
biggest
have your own
goddamn
power
library.
grid system.
Yeah, but no computers.
Oh, okay.
Oh, trust me. Yeah.
So-
He's right about that.
Lots of movies, lots of books.
You know, the locals hanging out.
I would say try it out.
All right. Hoopla.
When you go to the Wallingford Library, it's
So
just
actually, I'm going to
abacuses.
buy this eventually. I'm going to find some hardcover version probably.
All right. So you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna leave it up to John. We'll talk about it at another point.
HOOPLA.
And we're going to go back and do another for another one of these 100 proofs. We'll do another story arc out of this at some point.
Hoopla.
Hoopla
Hoopla.
is Gorbachev.
It's nightshade.
All right. So for me, I give this a 4. I really enjoyed this a lot. I really liked the art a lot too. I guess I joked about like I thought some of the action was a little clunky, but overall for a 8 issues that weren't one continuous story arc, I thought it read very well as an introduction to the team. I loved going back and reading a comic where, see Action Comics 302 and blah, blah, and all that stuff. So that was really fantastic, and I will definitely continue reading this.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's our 100 proof book project, all about Mush Talk. No, not Mush Talk. It's all about Suicide Squad, Volume 1, John Ostrander, and fuck, names are out of my head tonight.
Luke McDonald.
Luke McDonald. I knew McDonald. I could not get Luke in my head.
Would you want, and Bob Lewis. And Carl Kiesel. And Dave Hunt, who did the work on the Secret Origins issue.
And edited
by Bob Greenberger.
Bob Greenberger. And if you go...
And Anthony Tollin did the colors. I don't know who did the colors for the collection. And then Todd Klein did the letters, Todd Klein's one of the
Which
best
actually I thought
letters.
was pretty cool, by the way, Bob Greenberger being the editor, just because we've done his books.
Bob's a friend of ours, and if you go to the YouTube channel, me and John just did a video not too long ago that's out right now. By the time you hear this, it'll still it'll still be floating around YouTube where we talk about the latest in the Quarto Chartwell books, 100 greatest
100
series, Batman. So check that out.
I'm Batman.
Batman.
I'm Nemesis.
Wait. Batman.
Yeah. I believe
Batman's-
Lloyd the most.
Batman is Ravon.
Lloyd has got the Batman chin for days. Like I can see the. Oh,
I can
fuck.
see that, yeah.
You're Batman. All right, Batman.
I'll get a cowl.
All right, Batman.
You Robert Pattinson.
First of all, go to www.pineandcomics.com.
Nemesis is Robert Pattinson.
Second of all, follow us on Twitter at Pint of Comics.
Twiddler.
Find us on Instagram at pint_o app. What is it?
Pint_o_comics is the Instagram.
Thank you. What nights are you taking over the fucking Twitter and doing
Monday,
your thing?
Wednesday, Friday.
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You can find Lou talking about wrestling. And and man, it gets crazy.
I'll tell you what, it's a great community we have.
It's a good thing. You've already been. I've had multiple people tell me they want you on their podcast, so we're going to be pimping you out, Lou. I'm super glad you're back. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
Nice hair.
And Manster, in your very best Batman voice, tell us how to get out of here.
I'm Batman. See ya.
It's over, Johnny. It's over! Nothing is over! Nothing! You just don't turn it off!